Good evening, everyone. Hello and welcome along to the Sports Corner Live. We are back for the darts once again. It's night 11 in the Premier League, and as we know, we've only got, after tonight, 6 more nights of action. Well, technically, if you include tonight, we've got 6 more nights of normal league action before we do, of course, get to that all-important semi-final and final night, which will be at the end of this month. And tonight, the top 4 are all up against each other. It's going to be a massive, massive evening in the complexion of the table, because potentially, in my opinion, tonight we could maybe see the likes of Gary Anderson and Peter Wright under some severe pressure to go out there and get some points, or else they're going to be out of the Premier League top 4 race very, very quickly indeed. But as always, we've got plenty to talk about before our first match of the evening tonight. But first of all, how are we all doing? Are we all good? Welcome along. Night 11. We're already, well and truly way past the halfway mark of this competition. And it's just nice to be getting towards, not a conclusion, because I think it's always sad when it does end, but the fact we are getting towards that desperation stage of the season now, where ultimately every game means something. And specifically this season, where every player is still within a shout of getting a top 4 spot, it is making it very, very exciting. However, as I said before tonight, all of the top 4 are playing against each other. That's at the start and the end of the evening, and we will be looking forward to all of that stuff to come a little bit later on tonight. But as always, welcome. It's good to see you all. And if you are new, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. You have got just over 25 minutes left to get yourself involved in tonight's Super 6. All you have got to do to get yourself involved with Super 6 this evening is put in your score predictions for the 4 games tonight. It needs to be the exact scores for the 4 games, as well as putting in your prediction for how many 180s you think there's going to be in the entire session, as well as the highest checkout of the night. That's all you need to do. You need to subscribe to the channel as well to win, and when you do put your prediction in the chat, make sure you do it like how pretty much Chris has done tonight. And if you do want to get involved, you do have the chance of winning yourself 25 quid. We played it yesterday. We played it throughout the week. It was very, very close throughout the majority of, the first game. We got to the second match of the night, and everybody was knocked out in the end, which was a real shame. So let's hope tonight, fingers crossed, that maybe we can have a few more people go, maybe go all the way. We'll have to see. But as I said, once again, you've got 22 minutes left to put your prediction in. I'm closing it off at 7:30. So if you do want to get involved with Super 6, then do put your predictions in the chat now, like Chris has done already. And I think Charles is just putting his predictions in the chat now. So the very best of luck to both of you this evening taking part. But as always, as we like to do at the beginning of every stream, for those of you that maybe missed the action yesterday, it was our first night back after 2 weeks of, darts, wasn't it, really, in terms of the Premier League action. So here's a look at how everybody got on in the Premier League yesterday. Night 10 saw the Premier League of darts return after a 2-week break, but the real question was, how did every player get on after that little break? Well, here's a look at what happened in the previous night's action in the Premier League of darts. We start off with a 8-5 win for Johnny Clayton against James Wade, and James Wade was one of the few players on the night that never really turned up. I mean, he got 100% on his checkouts. That's 5 out of 5 at doubles, which is great. But ultimately, with a 92.67 average in comparison to the 105 average of the Ferret, it was an incredible performance from Johnny Clayton with a 150 checkout and 8 opportunities taken out of 17 at doubles. It was a really, really good performance. And considering that Johnny Clayton has to come up against Michael van Gerwen in tonight's action, I tell you something, you might be able to beat him again. We'll have to find out. But good win for the Ferret. Game 2 of the evening saw Jose de Souza up against Gary Anderson, and Jose de Souza with a very comfortable victory over the Flying Scotsman, who again, just like James Wade, never really turned up on the night. It was a 93.62 average for Anderson, with only 21.43% on checkouts. That's 3 out of 40 at doubles, and it has been Gary Anderson's Achilles heel, hasn't it, this season, checkouts, and again, he struggled, which has been a real issue for him. However, for Jose de Souza, a 99.28 average with a 50% checkout success. That's 8 out of 16 at doubles. The special one is finding himself in a real good run of form, but the question is he going to be able to get himself into the top 4, or is he going to find himself struggling to get there? The game of the night could also arguably be one of the games of the tournament. Is Michael van Gerwen back? That's the question. It was a great victory, wasn't it, for the Green Machine? An 8-3 victory over second place Dimitri van den Bergh, with both players averaging over 106. We'll start with Michael van Gerwen, 109.96 average, 80% on checkouts. That's 8 out of 10 at doubles with 126 checkout. It was a stellar performance from Michael van Gerwen, and the 126 was made even better with the checkout at the bull. As for Dimitri van den Bergh, you wouldn't be able to tell that he played 106 average in the game. For large parts, he was really struggling, and had he not gone 6 legs down, then maybe this game would have been very different. But in the end, a 60% checkout success was not good enough on the night, and it was a brilliant win for Michael van Gerwen. But will that stop Dimitri van den Bergh's good form, or can he bounce back tonight? And the last game of the night saw Peter Wright in a 8-5 defeat to Nathan Aspinall, and it was a great opportunity for Aspinall to get a 4-point gap between himself and 5th place Jose de Souza, and he took that. It wasn't, let's be honest, a great game. Both players averaging pretty poorly. Aspinall averaging 93.81, Peter Wright averaging 88.52, but the Asp, he did what he needed to. He got through the game, he got a 161 checkout, which was the turning point in the match. And in the end, look, it wasn't a memorable performance, but Nathan Aspinall, he won't care because he has got a foothold at the top end of the table. However, for Peter Wright, he's got to be worried a little bit here. He's not been playing really good at all, has he, in the Premier League? And ultimately, he's now finding himself under some serious pressure to get a good few results, or he could maybe be one of the players missing out on the top 4. But we've got more action to come tonight, including that big game between Dimitri van den Bergh and Nathan Aspinall. But the real question is, who will get 2 points on the board in night 11 of the Premier League of Darts? And that was a bit of a rundown of yesterday's action, and I think, you know, when we look at yesterday, it was really, in my opinion, a case of seeing the very best of some of the players and some of the very worst in some of the players. You know, let's not forget last night, Michael van Gerwen with just under 110 average in a brilliant game against Dimitri van den Bergh. I think that was the best game of the night. And then, of course, we had 2 players which, funnily enough, are playing against each other tonight. That's Gary Anderson and Peter Wright. Both not playing great at all. And I think they showed pretty much the worst of what we've seen in the Premier League so far. And I'm really intrigued tonight because, as you can see, the order of play is very exciting. All 4 games are pretty much players next to each other in the table. We've got the top of the table clash, we've got the bottom of the table clash, we've got the midsection, and then, of course, we've got the other 2 people in the top 4. So we'll talk about that in a little moment's time. However, what we will talk about is how the table is looking. And this is how the Premier League table stands as of night number 10. Now, we already know we're down to the last 8 players. Rob Cross, Glen Durrant eliminated a few nights ago. As you can see, this is how the top 4 is looking right now. Nathan Aspinall had a massive opportunity to get himself a foothold at the top of the table, which he did take against Peter Wright. And he finds himself now 2 points ahead of Michael van Gerwen. And most importantly, I think for Nathan Aspinall, 4 points ahead of Jose de Souza in 5th place. And he has a very tough task tonight coming up against Dimitri van den Bergh. But if he can win that game tonight, then potentially Nathan Aspinall might have a chance to just maybe take a 4-point lead over Michael van Gerwen, depending on his result against Johnny Clayton a little bit later on. We'll have to see what happens there. You can also see, of course, Gary Anderson, Peter Wright, both struggling. Both players need points on the board tonight. Gary Anderson, I think if he loses tonight and the rest of the top 4 potentially win, you know, likes of Johnny Clayton and maybe van den Bergh, then I think Gary Anderson is out of the race, in my opinion, to make it into the top 4, because he would need something special to get there. And same for Peter Wright as well. You know, if Peter Wright wins tonight, it could put him in a very good position, depending on the result between James Wade and Jose de Souza. Preferably, he'd be hoping that game ends in a draw, or James Wade wins, because then he'd only be a point behind de Souza and a point behind Wade, potentially, by the end of the night. But we'll have to see on that one, because that is a massive game between Peter Wright and Gary Anderson later on in that fight. And it is a big day overall because, as I said, you can see from the actual set of games we've got, it is everybody up against everyone in tonight's action. Don't forget, we are now down towards the last 15 minutes for Super 6. That's why the timer is on the screen in the top left-hand corner. As you can see, all you've got to do tonight is put in your 4 exact score predictions, like what Albertus and Daz have done, as well as your prediction for how many 180s you think there's going to be in the whole session, as well as the highest checkout of the night. And if you do put your predictions in, you never know, you might be able to win yourself a cheeky little 25 quid in the bank. It's only whether you get your predictions correct or not. So you do have up until 7:30 tonight to do that. That is 15 more minutes of time. So I do wish everybody the very best of luck to everyone taking part, because hopefully we can get more people on tonight. I believe if we can get a few more people on, we'll have the most people taking part, which is the most exciting part. The more the merrier, and the better chance maybe of somebody winning that cash prize tonight. But first of all, our first game of the evening is a clash of the Titans in the Premier League. And we said that, these games tonight, the first games of the evening and the last games of the evening, were all very, very crucial games. And we're starting off with Nathan Aspinall up against Dimitri van den Bergh. And what a match this could be. Because we saw Aspinall yesterday. Brilliant, brilliant win against Peter Wright. It was one of those games where it wasn't an enjoyable match for the neutral, but it was a game where Nathan Aspinall didn't play his best, but he got the win that he needed, and that was crucial to getting him towards the top end of the table, which he did, and fair play to him in that respect. As for Dimitri van den Bergh, on the other hand, for him, you have to look and say he played very well against Michael van Gerwen, but got nothing out of it. So it's quite role reversal in the respect of what Van den Bergh did that Aspinall couldn't, but Aspinall got the points and Van den Bergh didn't. So I'm really intrigued tonight to see how this game goes out. I personally think we will see a better performance from Aspinall tonight and a worse performance from Van den Bergh. However, not a worse performance in terms of overall game. I think he'll just average less than he did yesterday. Let's not forget he was averaging around about 107 against Michael van Gerwen yesterday. So I don't think he's going to average that in this specific match. But I think we're going to have a very good game on our hands. And once again, when you actually look at the table, as you can see, if Nathan Aspinall wins this game, he'll be starting the night, but his night will have finished with a 4-point gap over Michael van Gerwen and a 4-point gap over Dimitri van den Bergh. Now that will change, because if Johnny Clayton wins, then that gap will reduce itself down to 3. However, a draw will also reduce the gap down to 3. So either way tonight, Nathan Aspinall has a chance to make even more ground over the rest of the pack. And pretty much you could say, maybe, get himself a step closer to confirming the top 4 spot. However, if Dimi van den Bergh wins tonight, we might have an opportunity potentially for 3 players to find themselves on 15 points, which will be very, very interesting indeed. But we will have this game underway in just a moment's time. I think both players are just trying to sort something out with the board. I don't know what's going on with it, but I think they're just trying to check the tip of the treble 20 bed. I don't know whether it's kind of just maybe raised out a little bit on that specific board in comparison to the other boards that they're using. But I think they have got a replacement board ready. So they're just going to sort that out, get the game underway in a moment, which gives us a chance to put your predictions in the chat and say a quick hello to all of you guys, because, of course, we have got a bit of a time for a break here. So if you want to also take part, I have pinned the tweet as well, which you can use. So if you want to put your prediction on the Twitter, then you can do as well, if you find it better to put it on Twitter. So I do recommend clicking the pinned message for now, which I'm going to take off in about 10 to 15 minutes time. But Chris is in the building, as always. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you're good. I've still put Van den Bergh's 9 dart to bet on. It's coming in, my friend. One day this week, it's coming in. I said on Friday, I think we're going to get a 9 darter. I don't know who he's going to be, but I think we're going to get a 9 darter at some point in this competition, this week at the very least. Chloe's in the building. How are you doing, Chloe? How are you? Good as always. She's put, hello everyone. I have a good feeling about a few of these games tonight. And yeah, I've got a good feeling myself. I think for me, this day specifically, in terms of the games, is arguably the best day that we have of the Premier League this season, apart from, of course, semi-final and finals night. I just feel basically every player is pretty much neck and neck on the table. Anderson, Wright, neck and neck at the bottom of the table. Aspinall, Van den Bergh, neck and neck towards the top end of the table. And that's why these games are so hard to predict and so hard to guess what goes on. We've seen everybody's predictions in the chat. Albertus is in the building. Hope you're good as always, my friend. He thinks that Aspinall is going to win this game 8-5. We will have to see. I'll read out some of your predictions in a moment's time. Tracy Gallagher's in the building. How are we doing, Tracy? Hope you're good as always. She's put, hello. Welcome along, Tracy. Good to see you as always. Chris saying, is this the year? Or is this year Anderson's last year? I said the same before about Anderson, but he reached the world final. Who knows? Who knows? It's weird with Gary Anderson, isn't it? You know, we talked about him yesterday, the fact that, you know, some days he can play quality darts, but we're not seeing that enough as what we usually expect him to do. Daz is in the building. He's put evening, Josh. How are you doing today? I'm doing very good indeed. Hopefully you're doing good as always, Daz. Good to see you in the building. And then Yoland put his prediction in the chat. Very best of luck, Yoland. He thinks Aspinall is going to win this game 8-5. Just remember, Yoland, to put in your predictions for the 180s in the checkout so you can get yourself in that Super 6. You've got 10 more minutes to do so. I'm going to keep mentioning it, of course. Apologies to everybody who has probably heard it about 500 times. But all you've got to do, put your 4 exact predictions in the chat for the scores. How many 180s you think there's going to be in the entire session. And then the highest checkout of the night. And you've got a chance of winning 25 quid if you get your predictions correct. It's tricky, which is why I put a bit of decent cash on the line every single night. Dimsky saying, hi Josh, good evening. He thinks Vandenberg's going to win this 7-4. Hope you all good as always, Dimsky. Good to see you in the building. And then Chris says Anderson versus Wright is the out of form players against each other. And I do think that will be a very pivotal game tonight. Especially if Gary Anderson can get a win. Because he desperately needs one to stop what has been a very, very bad rot for him over the last few weeks. But the good news is we are underway with this game. As I said before, you have got, less than 10 minutes to get yourself involved in the Super 6. So you've still got time, and you can wait if you want to basically put it in the last few minutes to maybe get your prediction a little bit closer. But for now, we are underway with this game. And I have got some bets on tonight. And I've gone for a super massive punt bet. So if you want to punt bet along, then you've still got time to actually put this prediction down. Tonight, I have backed Jose de Souza, Peter Wright, and Michael van Gerwen on a match treble. It's probably going to come back to bite me with the MVG one because we know his record against Johnny Clayton is bad over the last few months. But I'm backing him tonight. And that means if you put £1 on that bet, you're guaranteed 145 quid return. So if you do want to maybe play along with us, maybe back my bet tonight, then you've still got time to put that bet in. Jose de Souza, of course, coming up a little bit later on tonight. As Nathan Aspinall checks out 64 to take a 1-0 leg lead in this game against Dimmy van den Bergh. And it will be detrimental in this game that Van den Bergh gets off on the right foot. And so does Aspinall, because Aspinall was having to really push himself through that game against Peter Wright. And it was the 1-6-1 finish, which was, funnily enough, the highest checkout that we had of the night, was the difference maker in that game and allowed Aspinall to push on and go get a result. But Yolanda's put his prediction in the chat. Thank you very much, Yolanda. Very best of luck to you, my friend. Hopefully, we can have a winner tonight. It'd be very nice to be able to give somebody the prize at the very least. But Dimmy van den Bergh, he's going to be under some pressure tonight as we have our first 180 of the game, and that is the first 180 on the board of tonight's Super 6. So if you maybe want to predict at least one 180, then you are a step closer towards the prize. Probably wouldn't bet on one 180 over the whole night though, because I think I'd be a little bit surprised if we only had one this evening. Chloe, she's put a prediction in the chat. She's going 7-7 for this game, which is a very interesting shout. I like it. The only person to go for a draw as it stands, which means if he does end in a draw, Chloe will be the last one left in it, depending what happens. But we'll have to see, because Nathan Aspinall, he's down to 132. Dimmy van den Bergh back at 178. He's going to get 58 to leave 120. So a chance here maybe for the first big checkout of the night. 57, which he needs. One dart for bull, which he doesn't get. And he just hits the outer rim of the bull. And I thought there for a second we were going to get a brilliant 1-3-2 finish from Aspinall. But ultimately, he hit the outer rim, which means there's a chance here for Dimmy van den Bergh to check out on tops for 120. And there we go. 120 checkout from Dimmy van den Bergh. That is on the board. And I hope none of you guys put under 120 for the checkouts tonight. Because if you have, you're already out. And the night's only just started. But that is a very good checkout there from Dimmy. He puts himself one apiece in this game. And this will be a very, very close one. Last night, we finished, I wouldn't say early, but it was a quicker night. Especially considering we only had one game less than what we usually have. But ultimately, we finished about, I think, 9:45 last night. I don't think that's going to be the case this evening. I think most of these games will have the majority of legs played. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes down in the end. But it's a really, really tricky game to call. I mean, with my bets tonight, I do have other bets on, but that was my punt bet this evening. I have got Dimi van den Bergh to win this game. I've got Jose de Souza to beat James Wade. Peter Wright to get the most 180s and MVG to get the most 180s in his game. I had Nathan Aspinall and James Wade on a match treble. Why not? James Wade's not going to win it, but you never know with him. And then I've also, as I said, got Jose de Souza, Peter Wright and MVG on a match treble. So technically, there's only 2 of those bets in play right now. So I've got a little bit of an opportunity to maybe make some money later on, but we'll have to see. As Dimski's put his prediction in the chat tonight, he's gone for, in this game, 8-4 in the first match. So he's gone for 8-4, I think, to Van den Bergh. And then he's put the rest of his prediction in this evening for his match. Very best of luck to Dimski. And I believe we've got the most people participating in Super 6. So you've still got time. You've got 4 more minutes. I am going to put the Super 6 thing up on the screen just for a little bit longer. I'll put it like that for 4 minutes. If you want to get involved, you've got 4 minutes left to get in that. Put it in the chat. It's free to play. As long as you're subscribed, you can get yourself involved. But chance here for a 145 finish from Van den Bergh, which he's not going to get. So Aspinall does have a chance here to come back for the 140. And this would be a great way to kick off this game, wouldn't it? With 200 plus checkouts. But we're not going to get it. And there will be a chance here for Dimi van den Bergh to take a 2-1 lead if he can check out 86 on treble 18 and double 16. Which he gets treble 18 first, so 2 darts to double 16, and 1 dart is all the Belgian needs, and he takes the lead for the first time in this game. And Dimi van den Bergh, not in cruise control yet. There's a long way to go in this one before we say anything about somebody being in cruise control, but I think Aspinall will know here he's going to be in a pretty tough battle, especially when your opponent is smacking in the 180s, and that's his first one of the game. Maybe even on for a cheeky little 9-darter, which I know Chris Welch desperately needs, but chance here for a 177 for Afsa. He's on for a 9-darter. What can Dimi van den Bergh do here? We'll have no 9-darter, sadly, but he will get himself a 140 to leave himself at 181 after 6 darts. Aspinall's going to have to try and respond. He gets 4 perfect darts. Not a 5th, sadly, but he will get 100, so he's down to 224. So trying to keep very close to each other, as you would expect. Aspinall probably feeling like he needs to get the next leg on the board here, or else there is the big opportunity for Van den Bergh to break away in this game. But we'll have to see, because Van den Bergh's down to 82, and Aspinall only gets 44 to leave 180. So a really good opportunity here for Dimitri van den Bergh to take a 2-leg lead in this match. And he doesn't even have to check out now if he doesn't want to, which he tries to. And he's got double 12 here, which he's not going to go for. So Van den Bergh leaves himself on tops. Nathan Aspinall gets himself, I think, a 140 to leave himself on top. So there will be a little bit of pressure here for the Belgian. But you would assume he will probably take it out. First dart is a good marker. And the second dart is in, and that was the perfect marker. That first dart right in the middle of the top's bed, just on the outside of it. And it was such an easy opportunity for Van den Bergh to be able to get it in. But what a response from Nathan Aspinall. Smacks in a 180 to start this leg. And you have got just over a minute to put your predictions in tonight for Super 6. Or else I'm going to be closing it off in a second, and that will be it for the night for everybody. So if you do want to put in your Super 6 to win 25 quid, you've got a minute left here. As Nathan Aspinall gets himself down to 221 after 6 darts. And puts himself in a very good position here, maybe to get a leg back on the board. Dimsy's asked, what's with the facial hair, Josh Charity? Nah, I'm just... more the depression of Rotherham being rubbish that hasn't made me bother to shave. So I feel in depression mode with how my football club's doing right now. I just haven't shaved, to be honest. I've just left it to grow out. I can't be bothered. It's at that stage where I'm just like, I'm just going to leave it for a bit. Eventually I'll shave it off at some point. But Aspinall here at 130. Dimi van den Bergh at 289. Question is Aspinall going to get himself that all-important leg on the board here and make it 3-2. He's not going to be able to check out the 130, but he will be coming back as Dimi van den Bergh is at 2-3-1. So how much pressure can the Belgian put Nathan Aspinall under? As that is it for Super 6 tonight. So for those of you that have put your predictions in, very best of luck. If you want to take part in tomorrow's Super 6, then of course do leave a subscription to the channel and join us tomorrow night. We will be doing Super 6 again, but the entries are closed as Aspinall takes the game to 3-2. I wonder if anybody's maybe put down Dimi van den Bergh to smash up the Asp tonight. Let's have a quick look. Chris going for 8-6 to Aspinall. We've got Albertus saying 8-5 to Asp. We've got Aspinall 8-2. So Daz is already out tonight, which is really unfortunate for him. So very unlucky, Daz. You're already out of this evening's action. Yolanda going 8-5. Dimsky going 8-4. So everybody's still in there. Everybody's still in there. There's Dimi van den Bergh. He's just averaging under 100. And Nathan Aspinall is just averaging over 100. So a good pace to this game. Stephen says, can we all agree MVG is back? Not yet. Not yet. Great performance last night. But for me, he needs to be doing that a little bit more consistently before I say he's back. It was a very good performance though. But I don't want to get myself carried away. In my opinion. But it was a very good performance. Dimsky saying support Norwich to cheer yourself up. Oh, trust me. You're going to be fantastic in the Premier League next season, I hope. But no, usually when I've got a bit of facial hair, a bit light, it looks alright. But it tends to go a bit grubby after a while. So it will get shaved off soon. But chance here for Dimi van den Bergh to check out on Bull, which he's not going to do. As Aspinall's at 2-4. And there is going to be an opportunity now for the Belgian to once again take a 2-leg lead in this match by checking out on double 16 with 3 darts in hand, which you would expect him to do here. So Dimi van den Bergh, first dart is a good marker. Second dart is 16, so he's got double 8. And he gets it, smack bang in the middle of the double 8 bed. And that is a brilliant, brilliant start for Dimi van den Bergh to this game. And as Audio Murphy's put in the chat, hope you're good, my friend. He's put Battle of the Young Guns. Great stuff. This is the future of the darts. And I'll tell you, Summer, if this is the future of the darts, with the 180s climbing, a very good future of the PDC, that's for sure. Can Dimi van den Bergh respond with a 180 of his own? He can't, but a 140 will do. Daz, here's a question for you. How many times do you think Wright will change his darts? Twice tonight. That's my guess, I think. As Aspinall gets 140, so he's down to 181 after 6 starts. Dimi van den Bergh at 361. Going to have to probably get a 180 here, which he won't. And he'll be hoping that Aspinall somehow cocks this up here, or else he is going to be 1 leg away again in a game that Aspinall will feel like he's going to be chasing quite heavily. And it is going to be a tricky, tricky battle for him, as you would expect. But Chloe thinks that he's going to change 4 times tonight, which is interesting. I think he changed twice, didn't he, yesterday? 2 or 3 times, I think. But Aspinall at 88 here, chance to check out on treble 20 double 14. He gets 20, which means he's going to go 18 for bullseye, and he'll get it. And that's a good 88 finish there from the Asp, who makes it 4-3. And a really good pace to this game. Both players playing with a really, really nice pace, really good control. Neither player's playing bad. And ultimately, we're in for a pretty good game here. I mean, it'd be nice for the averages to go up a little bit, get him into the hundreds, but a chance for a 180 here for the Asp, which he doesn't get. But a 127 will do to start. He gets himself down to 374 with Van den Bergh at 405. The Belgian with the hold of throat. And he gets himself a 140 to leave 265. Big, big night, you feel, in the Premier League. As Aspinall hits another 180. And both players now averaging over 100. That's the 6th 180 of this game. And we're only about halfway through. And you just feel both players in this game very patient, very calm. And trying to keep themselves in control of this match. And that's exactly what they're doing. And it is setting us up here for a very, very good end to this match. And I would say as well, Chloe's prediction of a 7-7 isn't looking too bad here. But big moment, you feel, for a 136 checkout, which Van der Bergh needs another treble 20, which he gets. One dart at double 8 for a 136, which he gets, and it's 5-3 to Dimmy van den Bergh, and that is absolutely brilliant from the Belgian. And Nathan Aspinall, who hit a 161 yesterday, let's not forget, and shocked Peter Wright, might just be a little bit shocked here, because that is 2 occasions in this match where Dimmy van den Bergh has checked out a high ton plus finish and got himself a few good legs on the board. And there's good respect as well from Aspinall, who does give a little, not fist pump, but puts his fist out. Doesn't want to scrap Van den Bergh, but just a little bit of appreciation more than anything. As Dad says, I will keep you posted on the football scores if you want tonight, flash score. Yes, please do, because I'm very intrigued to see how Villarreal do tonight against Arsenal. Really, really hoping that they win it. I really want to see a United Villarreal final. But at the same time, I would love to see a United Arsenal final, because then it means we're going to get 2 All-English Champions League and Europa League finals. Let's hope that this next Champions League final is better than the last English one we had, because, well, not really a great game, was it, Liverpool Spurs? But Dimsey's asked, thought Chelsea looked very good against Real. Will they deny City the trophy? I think they can. I think one thing that Chelsea have got this season, and especially under Tuchel since he's come in, is they've got a drive, they've got a motive, they've got a leader at the back. Let's not forget, you know, Thiago Silva has played in many massive occasions in the past, and he's playing in another massive occasion now. And I do think Chelsea could win it. It all depends on what City do. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, yes, City are the favourites to win it. But in the... well, I'm saying in the front of my head, in kind of my heart, I want to see Chelsea win it. But we'll have to see. As Aspinall checks out 80 on double 5. And it's 5-4 in this game. And Aspinall will just not back down. And every single time Dimmy van den Bergh takes a 2-leg lead, Aspinall bites back and gets himself 1 leg away. He just needs to now get himself that all-important next leg on the board and equal this game up. But we'll have to see. As both players averaging 103 in this very good game to start the night. Let's hope that it sets the tone for the rest of the evening. Because the level of performance that these boys are putting in is unbelievable. Hazard asking who's winning the Champions League then. For me, as I said, I think in the back of my mind, I'm thinking City are the favourites and they're expected to win it. But I would love to see Chelsea win it, because had you been a Chelsea fan at the start of the season, you know, if somebody came up to you and said, you're going to be in the Champions League final, as much as they'd spent a lot of money, a lot of cash, I still don't think anybody would have expected them to be there. I think City were expected to go far this year and were under some pressure to make the final, which makes it intriguing to see whether they'll win it or not. But I'd like to see Chelsea win it. It's one of those where I think Tuchel's done a brilliant job, and the belief in that squad right now is massive, and fair play to them. As Dimmy van den Bergh here, with a chance to maybe get a 180, which he doesn't, but a 140 will do. He's down to 80. But Aspinall here with a chance to check out 133. He starts with a 5, which means he's not going to be able to check out. And Dimmy van den Bergh now has an opportunity to once again take a 2-leg lead in this match on treble 20 double 10. He's got 2 darts at double 10. Now 1 dart at double 5, which he gets, and it's 6-4 in this game. And is that a big moment in the match now? Because Dimmy van den Bergh finds himself 1 leg away from a guaranteed point on the board. But Nathan Aspinall will respond with 180 to start off this 11th leg of the match. And that is the perfect response to Dimmy van den Bergh's very cool finish, as we've hit the 325th 180 of the competition. Daz has asked in the chat, the Sports Corner doing watch-alongs for the Europa League and Champions League final. Considering we've done the rest of the tournament, Daz, yes, we are. We've done every single game in the Champions League this season. We've done every single game in the Europa League. So for us then to not do the Champions League and the Europa League final would be quite stupid. But yes, we will be doing it. If you were here last year, we are looking to potentially do it the same way. We're going to get everybody on board. I'm hoping we can have me, both Kieran's, Rowan, Will, maybe even try and get Adam on as we have another 180. And that's number 6 for Nathan Aspinall in this game. And number 9 in this match. But we're hoping we can basically get everybody in the stream for the match. So we'll be a little bit busy. It will be a little bit busy, but I think it will be very fun if we can have everybody there. So we will have that at the end of the month, at the very least. So that's something to look forward to. And it'll be a very busy week for me because it's the day after the Premier League final that we have the Champions League. So it's going to be a very, very busy week for me on that one. But Dimi van den Bergh here had a chance to check out on 161, which he's not going to get. So Aspinall now, 3 darts in hand for double 19 to once again, for the 4th time, get himself 1 leg away, and he does. And it's 6-5 now in this game. And he will just not back down, as Dimi van den Bergh must have surely been feeling like he was going to be a step closer to getting those 2 points on the board. And now, again, Aspinall is just breathing down his neck slightly. And the pressure will continue to build as this game goes on. As Aspinall averaging 104, Dimi van den Bergh averaging 100 in a perfect start to the night. In what we expected to be a real firecracker of a match. Remember, the way that the league and the table is set out right now, as it stands in the Premier League, Nathan Aspinall at the top of the table on 15 points. If Dimi van den Bergh wins tonight, he'll move up to 2nd. If Aspinall wins, he will get a 4-point gap over MVG, who of course plays at the end of the evening against Johnny Clayton, which again will be a massive game in the complexion of the top 4. So Van den Bergh at 265, going for the treble 19s. He gets 2 of them, and then his 3rd dart falls out of the board, and it was going to actually hit the treble 19 bed. But he's down to 151 here, Dimi. However, Nathan Aspinall is at 167. Is he going to take it out here? I mean, this would be a brilliant, brilliant check out if we got a 151. And unfortunately, Dimi van den Bergh is not going to be able to do it. So a little bit opportunity now for Nathan Aspinall to check out the 167. And this would be a brilliant check out, which he's not going to be able to get either. So Van den Bergh will be coming back here at 67 for a chance to take a 2-leg lead again. And most importantly, guarantee himself a point in this match. As he gets 17 to start. So he'll go 18 for 1 dart at double 16. And double 16 he shall get. And Dimi van den Bergh guarantees himself a point in night 11 of the Premier League. And all Aspinall can do now is hope that he can win the next 2 legs back to back. Or else he's going to be finding himself here in a bit of a tricky situation. And he will have allowed the likes of Van Gerwen, Clayton, and of course Van den Bergh himself a real good opportunity to just maybe get themselves back in the race to finish top of the table. Dimski's asked, are you on the gin tonight? I am indeed, yes. I've got 4 cans next to me. Although I don't think I'll get through them all, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think I'll get through them all. I just like to bring up enough just in case. I don't want to have to rush down and go and get some more cans. But it's a massive, massive game, isn't it, this? Dimi van den Bergh at 361. Nathan Aspinall at 230. With the hold of throw. And he really, really needs to get something here. Because a point would still give him that distance. And he would then be really, really hoping that Van Gerwen and Clayton draw. So he doesn't really lose much of a gap between himself and the rest of the pack. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do it here. Because Dimi van den Bergh is on for a 180. And how about that for timing? A massive 180 there from Dimi van den Bergh. That's the 9th of this game. The 3rd for the Belgian. And there's a real opportunity now for Dimi van den Bergh to take the game and take a humongous 2 points in the complexion of the top 4 race. Bull and double 16 for an 8-5 win. How's your nerve, Dimi? He gets the outer bull, which isn't a problem because he's going to have 1 dart here at tops. And he hits 20. which means that Nathan Aspinall now has a chance to come back with 2 darts at double 16 and take us to a deciding leg. Can he do it? Yes, he can. It's 6-7. And it means here that Nathan Aspinall has a real opportunity to take a point in this game as we go to a deciding leg. And it does mean that as it stands, we are losing Albertus, who is knocked out of the Super 6. We have also lost Dimsky. Chloe is still in the fight. And it means we're actually lost quite a few here. In fact, Chris is out as well because he predicted 8-6 to Aspinall. Which therefore means Chloe, as it stands, I believe is the last one left. Which is insane. We've lost everybody again after night number 1. It's only the first game, but big moment you feel. Very best of luck to Chloe, who's the last one standing in this very tense Super 6. So Dimmy van den Bergh at 3-4-1. Nathan Aspinall gets 100 to leave 3-4-4. And I don't think that's enough there for the Asp. And if Van den Bergh could get himself a 140 or a 180 here, there's going to be some real pressure on Aspinall. And that is pressure because that is another 180 from the Belgian who puts himself down to 161. And Nathan Aspinall can only get himself to 283. And now you feel that the opportunity has opened up in this match. Oh, he did put Van den Bergh. He did indeed. You put 8-6. Sorry, I saw Aspinall's name first. You did put 8-6. But a chance here now for Chris to stay in it. And it looks like Chloe's going to get knocked out here. So double 18 will be all that Van den Bergh needs to win this game. And it will be Chris who'll stay in. And this will be the second defeat of the year for Nathan Aspinall in the Premier League of Darts. If Van den Bergh can take this out. And take it out he can! Because Dimmy van den Bergh gives Nathan Aspinall only his second defeat of the Premier League. And what could that mean for the rest of the table? Because that was a massive result for Dimmy van den Bergh, who opens up that fight for the top spot in the Premier League of Darts. And it was one of those games where it was constantly back and forth between the two players. Every time Dimmy van den Bergh got himself 2 legs ahead, the Asp would always get himself a leg back on the board. But in the end, it was a little bit too much for the Asp. And Dimmy van den Bergh finds himself a massive, massive victory in the complexion of the Premier League. And it also means tonight there is only one player left in our Super 6. Everybody has been wiped out after the first match, apart from one. Chris, who predicted 8-6 to Dimmy van den Bergh, he stays in the competition. So the very best of luck to Chris for the rest of the night. Of course, we've already had, I think, 9 180s in that match, so he only needs 20 more. But well done, Chris. You are still in the competition. And for those of you, as always, who didn't take part, and maybe you want to in the near future, then do, of course, join us tomorrow for the last night of action for a few weeks. We will be doing Super 6 once again. It's very simple. All you've got to do, predict the 4 exact scores, the amount of 180s in each session, and the highest checkout of the night. And every single night for the rest of the Premier League of Darts, you might be able to win yourself 25 quid. That's right, technically speaking, we've put quite a bit of cash on the line this month, and it's all for you guys for the fantastic participation that you lot have brought to these streams. But yeah, well done, Chris. Very best of luck for the next game, which we'll talk about in just a little moment's time. But as always, if you are new to the stream, please don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. We have still got plenty of Premier League of Darts content to come. Don't forget, we've got one more night of action to come. That is on Friday. And then we will have another 2-week break, sadly. Yeah, it's a real shame indeed. We'll have a 2-week break, and then we'll be back for the final week of action. I will be live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday. Unfortunately, I can't stream live on the 27th of May. I am moving, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do it then. However, I will be back for the finals night, which is on the 28th of May. So lots of action to come in that respect. But there's also more action to come on the Sports Corner YouTube channel. We don't just cover darts. You might have noticed tonight is a very big night in the complexion of football. We've got the Europa League to come. So here's a look at some of the content to come tonight and for the rest of the week on the Sports Corner. Coming up this week on the Sports Corner, you can join both the Kierans tonight live for the 2 semi-finals in the Europa League Goals Show. That starts at 10 to 8. We have the final night of Premier League of Darts action before the 2-week break. That starts tomorrow from 7:05. Then on Saturday, up the Millers. It's the Championship final day. Who will go down with 2 massive games in the EFL from 12:20. And then what a weekend in the Bundesliga. We start off with Dortmund against Leipzig. That's on Saturday at 2:25. Alongside a brilliant match coming up between Bayern Munich and Gladbach, which is at 5:25 on Saturday. That is your week and weekend on the Sports Corner. So there's a look at the content to come this week. As I said, very, very action-packed week of football. We've got a lot of Bundesliga action at the weekend. We've got big games, especially that Dortmund-Leipzig one that could have massive, massive complications for the top 4 race. But as I said a moment ago, I believe the boys will be going live very shortly with all of the action in the Europa League. So if you do want to join them, I think they'll be live in the next 5 or so minutes. So if you want to keep jumping in and out of the stream, then do stick around on the Sports Corner. Kieran will be live in about, I'd say, 5 minutes' time. But let's talk about that game between Nathan Aspinall and Dimmy van den Bergh, because I think that was a very good game to watch. Neither player really played bad, and ultimately I don't think either player will come out of this game and feel disappointed. I think Aspinall will, because he lost, but he played very well. And when you go over the stats overall, I think both players should be very happy with how they played. Nathan Aspinall, let's not forget yesterday, didn't play great against Peter Wright. It was a really, really tough, dogged performance that he produced and got the points. And tonight was the opposite. It was a good performance in which he didn't get anything out of. And that will be the shame for him. That will be the disappointment. The fact that he didn't get something in this match will be really gutting to him. But for Dimmy van den Bergh, he played great last night against MVG, didn't get anything, and he played fantastic tonight. And when you can see over the stats on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, we'll start off with the averages. You can see Nathan Aspinall tonight, 103.33 average in comparison to Dimmy van den Bergh's 102.89. And I swear the Belgian, it's very rare that he doesn't average under 100. He's just a ruthless, ruthless player on his day, but not ruthless enough tonight for Nathan Aspinall's average. Although he was ruthless enough in the checkouts, because you can see 61.54% on doubles for the Belgian. That's 8 out of 13. Very good performance. And for Nathan Aspinall, 50% on his doubles. That's 6 out of 12, which on other days would get you a win. I think it would be good enough to go out there and get yourself a few points on the board. But tonight, just a much better player playing him. And also you can see there we had 10 180s in the game, 4 for Dimmy van den Bergh, and 6 for Nathan Aspinall, which means, I believe Chris predicted 29 tonight, so we can only have 19 more 180s in the space of the next 3 games, which means on average you're looking for about, hopefully, he will be averaging around about 6.5 180s in each match to get that 29. Of course, if he goes any higher than that, then ultimately he's going to bust, which is a real shame indeed. But a good performance tonight for Dimmy van den Bergh. And when you actually look at the table and how it stands, that means that Nathan Aspinall will stay on 15 points. But Dimmy van den Bergh will move back up into second place. He'll go to a plus, I believe it's plus 11 on his legs difference, which does mean that if Michael van Gerwen wins tonight, depending on the scoreline in that game, then it will be Michael van Gerwen who goes back into second place. And maybe he might have a little opportunity. He'd have to whitewash Johnny Clayton, but he could go into first, but I don't think he will. He would have to pretty much whitewash the Ferret, which, if I'm being honest, I can't really see him doing. But that's how the table looks for now. As I said, we've got more games to come this evening. James Wade up against Jose de Souza is the next match, which we will talk about in a little moment's time. We've got Gary Anderson coming against Peter Wright. Big, big game that one is. Let's not forget both of those two down towards the back end of the table, really struggling and desperately need points and fast. And then the other game tonight, we've got Van Gerwen up against Johnny Clayton. Should be a really, really good game to watch that one, if MVG plays to the same style that he did 24 hours ago it was. It was a fantastic performance from him, and let's hope that we do get something similar again. But Oliver is in the chat. He's put, "Hi Sports Corner, I love this stream." Thank you very much, Oliver. You're an absolute legend. Is Peter Wright snakebite on the match after next? He is indeed. So the next game coming up is Wade against de Souza, which we will talk about in a minute's time. And then the match after that is the all-Scottish affair between Gary Anderson and Peter Wright. So that will be coming up, I would say, around about 9:15, 9 o'clock is my guess for that match between Peter Anderson, Gary Anderson and Peter Wright, not Peter Anderson and Gary Wright, mixing the names up. But yeah, I've still got the opportunity for you guys to get involved with my prediction tonight. If you wanted to maybe put a bet on, and you haven't yet, then I have put myself on a match treble this evening. It is a rather large punt, if I'm being honest with you. But why not have a cheeky punt when the darts is on? And if you do want to have a little bet, of course, you need to be over 18 to bet and do gamble responsibly. We don't want to basically advertise betting to you guys without saying you've got to gamble responsibly these days and be over 18. But my prediction tonight and my bet that I have put on is I've gone for the match treble. I've gone Jose de Souza to beat James Wade. That does also mean he has to get the most 180s and the highest checkout, as well as Peter Wright and Michael van Gerwen. It is a punt. I'm not going to lie, a very big punt indeed. Michael van Gerwen, we know what he's like when he comes up against Johnny Clayton. Usually 9 times out of 10, especially over the last few months, he doesn't tend to do well. So it's a bit of a gamble, but if you do want to maybe get onto it, then a pound will return 145 quid. I think I put on 250, so I'll get double that, which would be very nice indeed. But that is my bet for tonight, because I know a lot of you guys do tend to ask what bets I've got on, so why not put it on the screen, and then you guys can maybe join us along and blame me if my bets are crap. But Timmy's put, good to see you finally a good-looking guy talk about darts. Makes a change. I'm not good-looking at all. I've got very bad... I'm not that good-looking. But thank you very much, Timmy Funster. You're a legend. God bless your soul. And we'll jump on to the next game of the night now, because I think we have talked enough about David Aspinall and Dimmy van den Bergh. And I just feel that this game is going to be... it's a tough one to predict, but I've got a feeling Jose de Souza is going to go out there and put in a good performance tonight. I think James Wade, we saw last week what he can do on a very good day. You know, when the machine is on fire, the machine can put in high quality performances. We saw 4 back-to-back results where he averaged over 102. You know, I think it was 105, 105, 104, 102. So it did drop as the week went on. But what we saw yesterday was an awful performance from James Wade. And in fact, I'm going to get the stats up for that match again, because I think he averaged around about 93 in that match. So yeah, when he played against Johnny Clayton yesterday, James Wade averaged 92.67. Now, he did get 100% in his checkouts, which you would expect. I've said it before many a time, that James Wade can play games and average around about the 95 mark and still win, because he knows how to check out. And that's the most lethal thing about him. You know, the fact that he can go out there and ultimately consistently check big scores out without ever hitting, you know, the big high averages or smashing in 6 or 7 180s in a game. It's not James Wade. He doesn't do that. He tends to just play calm, comfortable, and if he gets to a checkout, usually the opposition player is probably bricking themselves a little bit, because you know that if you do get a 167, for example, James Wade is the type of man that will probably check it out more than others can. But for Jose de Souza, for me, I have to say he has been brilliant in this tournament so far. We saw him at the Super Series, won one of the events. He won the very first night of action at the Super Series when the darts wasn't on. But his last game against Gary Anderson, he averaged 99.28, which was a very good average on the night. Got 4 180s as well as a 99 checkout. So I feel that the advantage is with Jose de Souza. I think that's the person everybody will back. And I understand why. I do understand why, because ultimately James Wade, for me, doesn't tend to have the best of records against Jose. You know, we saw them play off against each other. I think it was in the Grand Prix final back last year when they played each other, and Jose de Souza completely outplayed James Wade and battered him pretty much in that match. And ultimately, I think tonight, I'm going to guess 8-5 to Johnny Clayton, Jose de Souza, on this one. I think James Wade will get a few legs on the board, as you would expect. You know, a player of his quality, you would expect to get a few legs on the board in the game. But I do feel tonight that Jose de Souza will go out there and get himself a very, very good victory on the board. But what are you predicting tonight? Do tell us in the chat as always. As Jacob is in the building, how are you, my friend? Hope you are all good as always. And then Chris says, what happens if 2 people have the same predictions? Well, then that means that the money would be split, so you get £12.50 each. But it would mean you'd have to put the exact same predictions which is very unlikely. Unless somebody wants to copy you and hope basically that they do win and you both split the prize. But we'll have to see. It'd be very, very lucky if anybody gets it with the Super Sixers, because it's tough enough as it is to predict the scores. To predict the 180s is a nightmare. Hence why I put the prize up to 25 quid a night, because it's going to be very hard to predict it anyway. So why not put good money on the line, because you deserve it if you do get your 6 predictions spot on. Daz has asked, how do they decide who's got the throw in the Premier League? Probably playing rock, paper, scissors. Who knows? I think they do it before they go onto the stage. Usually they'll do it with the practice boards, I believe. They'll usually somehow decide it there, I think. Sometimes they'll play for the bull, I think. I might be wrong. Somebody else can tell us in the chat, but I'm pretty sure they'll play for the bull. And whoever hits the bull in the practice room usually is the player that gets to have the holder throw. But we are about to wait for the next 2 players to come out. Jose de Souza and James Wade will be out in just a moment's time. Let's take a look at the odds, because again, this is something we haven't actually looked at since yesterday. These are the odds for these players to win in the Premier League. Now, usually, I'd have the odds to reach the semi-final. However, Sky are not doing those anymore, purely because we are getting quite close to the end of the Premier League table. So they've actually stopped doing it, which means that the odds to reach the semi-final pretty much have stayed the same. The odds to win, however, have slightly differentiated from what they were before. And as you can see, Michael van Gerwen still at the top of the list, and his odds have slightly been slashed after yesterday's convincing performance against Dimi van den Bergh. So he stays at the top of the table. Dimi van den Bergh, as of this afternoon, he was 10-3 to win the Premier League. I think those odds might have just slightly gone down a little bit after that performance tonight against Aspinall. Asp, I think he will stay at 9-2, still at the top of the Premier League as it stands, and I think he's in a very good position to finish in the top 4 at the very least. And then Johnny Clayton, who is just in the top 4 right now, he's 7-1, which I still don't think is bad odds for a player like Johnny Clayton. Played very well, hasn't he, in the Premier League so far, and I do feel maybe he does have a little bit of a chance of finishing. It's going to be tough for him because he's a few points behind, but you never know with the way that the Premier League works. It's a fascinating season. As for the other players, Jose de Souza, again, he's another one that is just a little bit outside of the odds. 8-1 isn't too bad, but we are getting to that stage now of the season where ultimately I think he would probably have to win every game to finish top and hope that everybody else loses. So he'd need a lot to go in his favour. Peter Wright, he's at 12-1, which is, of course, quite intriguing considering he's actually got better odds than James Wade, who's sat at 16-1, which surprises me a little bit because even now, James Wade is still playing better darts than Peter Wright is. And then, to be honest with you, Gary Anderson, you can pretty much write off already. He would have to get 7 points minimum without anybody else picking up points along the way to go to the top of the table and win it. At the very least. So his odds of 50-1 will probably get a little bit higher tonight. And I would probably say they probably won't even offer you odds tomorrow if Gary Anderson loses, because I don't think it'll be possible for him to do it anymore. And very quickly, while the players are practicing, as we always do, this is the table. Jose de Souza and James Wade both literally neck and neck in the table. The special one just ahead by a point from James Wade with a +5 legs difference. That, of course, was made up massively last night by his big 8-3 win against Gary Anderson. And as for James Wade, his legs difference slightly diminished yesterday. He's now 2 games without a win. He will be desperate to get himself a result on the board because he started the Premier League without a result, and that was a real shame for him. Can he maybe get a result tonight and get himself back to winning ways as we do get underway with this second match of the evening? If you haven't put your predictions in the chat, it'd be nice to see what you guys are predicting for this game, because I am still going to go for 8-5 to Jose de Souza in this match. And for those of you, of course, waiting for all of the action in the Europa League tonight, the boys are live on the channel now with the Europa League games. Roma taking on Man United and Villarreal up against Arsenal. So if you do want to watch that as well, then I highly do recommend going along and saying quick hello to the boys, because they are going to be live for most of the night, and hopefully there'll be a few goals in their games, but hopefully there's a few good legs in this match, because this game is going to mean a lot to these boys, especially the one that loses tonight will feel that the distance between themselves and the top 4 could maybe diminish a little bit, especially if Johnny Clayton beats Van Gerwen tonight. That will then mean, I believe, every player will be on 13 points in the top 4, So a gap will be beginning to build from the likes of Jose de Souza and James Wade. So a win is detrimental, you feel? And we'll have to see what happens. As Zavix is in the building. How are you doing, my friend? He's put, hello, sorry I'm late. Never apologise, it's all good. You never have to be in here straight away. You never even have to be in here if you don't want to. But hopefully you're all good as always. As we are getting our first 180 of the game. And I don't actually have the sound for the match referee, unfortunately. So Paul Hinks will have to do. But there's a chance here for Jose de Souza to check out 65 and take a 1-0 lead in this game, as it's Hugh Ware who's the referee. And I will try and get myself the match sound at some point in the near future. So, one dot here at 4-4 for de Souza, accidentally hitting the ball. And a mistake turns into a happy accident because he has taken a 1-0 lead. And after accidentally hitting the ball, he then checks out on 4-4. And I'll tell you something, he's one of the best players at making up for his mistakes, isn't he, Jose de Souza? Especially in the Premier League this season. Absolutely fantastic. As Harrison's put, I've got the darts on the telly and the football on the iPad. You lucky git. I would have the Europa League on my iPad, but then I wouldn't be able to see what you guys are putting in the chat. So I'd rather talk to you guys tonight. And I'll keep checking with both the keyruns and seeing what the scoreboard is in both of the matches. But cracking way to spend your evening. It is indeed, isn't it? Few drinks as well is always nice. This is what I love. I mean, to think about the summer coming up, especially we're going to have the Euros with the football. A week afterwards, we're then going to have the World Match Play. It's great, isn't it? As James Wade smacks in his first 180 of the game. And we're up to 2 180s to start us off. And it's going to be a very interesting game, this one. As Jose de Souza looks to smack in a 180 here of his own, and he does. And now he's back-to-back 180s. And that's 2 for the special one. And 1 for James Wade as we start off in pretty good fashion. Bernie's just put in the chat, I think if they were tested, MVG on coke, Dimmy weed, Wade on antidepressants. Asphalt speed, right pissed. I mean, James Wade is always a calm, comfortable man. I know, of course, he's had his issues in the past with mental health and stuff, so I'm not going to joke about on that one. But, I mean, MVG probably hasn't been taking coke recently, apart from that last match. Maybe he has been getting himself back into a good mode again, which is what he needed. But Hazard saying, how good is Van Gerwen going to be tonight then? I hope so. I hope he's good tonight. He's down on my match treble. As Jose de Souza takes a 2-0 lead as he checks out 64. And as I said before, my bet tonight, I've gone for a match treble with Jose de Souza, Peter Wright and Van Gerwen. So you watch Gary Anderson go and win tonight. Be typical, wouldn't it? But no, jokes aside, I think MVG will, I hope, put in a good performance. The worst situation would be, you know, he goes from 110 average to like a 95 again. And I don't want to see that. I want to see him go out there and put in a quality performance. As James Wade looks to smack in another 180. And the 180s are being fired in because that's another one. And that's now 2 for James Wade. And 2 for Jose de Souza. Harrison Rice in, I'm thinking MVG will finally stop the drought against Clayton. I bloody hope he does. I think my other bet tonight, did I put Clayton down to win? No, I put MVG down with the most 180s. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, I got 2 bets on. I got the match treble. And then tonight I got Jose de Souza to win. A goal in both halves of Arsenal Villarreal. Dimmy van den Bergh to win. And then Peter Wright and MVG to get the most 180s in their games. So, mixture, that. So I do need a goal before half-time in Arsenal Villarreal. Doesn't matter who it's to. But I do need at least a goal. As Harrison says he's watching Arsenal Villarreal. I think that's probably the best game to watch tonight. At least there's some competitive edge to it. You know, Man U. I think Roma need to score 5 to go through. No pressure. As James Wade checks out 18 and makes it 2-1 in this game. And he needed that leg on the board so desperately because if Jose de Souza took a 3-0 leg lead, We could have maybe been seeing something very similar to what we saw last night against Gary Anderson, in which we saw, I think, De Souza take 6 legs, or 5 legs it was, against Gary. And I was sat here saying maybe we're going to get a whitewash tonight, but we didn't. As both players averaging over 100, James Wade averaging 105, Jose De Souza averaging 102. It's a good start to this game as well. Let's hope it continues on in the same vein. Daz says he's getting a beer as well. You might as well crack open the beers tonight, as we might have a chance here for another 180. And another 180 it is. There's the third for Jose De Souza. And that's the 5th of the match. Can James Wade respond with a 180 of his own? He can't. But he is down to 325. Jose De Souza down at 181. Harrison saying Roma have to win 4-0. Is it 5? I swear it's 5, because United scored 6 away, didn't they? I might be wrong and it is 4. Because 4 would take it to 6-6, wouldn't it? But I think they still lose on away goals, because United scored 6. So they need to score 5 and win. I might be wrong. I probably am wrong, to be honest. But yeah, either way, it's a very unrealistic score they've got to get to win that match. As Jose De Souza with a chance here to check out 1-2-1, which he's not going to be able to do here. So James Wade's going to have a chance to get himself into check-out territory. He's back at 230. So 180 would be needed here. United were at home. Ah! There we go. United were at home. I don't know why. I got it in my head that United were away. United were at home today. And I think I might have even put it. No, I didn't. No, I just had it in my head they were at home. I don't know why. But yeah, you're right then. Roma have to win 4-0. No pressure. As Jose De Souza takes a 3-1 lead. Checking out 74 there on tops. And a real big opportunity here, you feel, for Jose De Souza to really get himself a foothold of this match. And James Wade, a little eye roll there from him. You know what he's like when it comes to reactions. He will be thinking to himself, oh no, here we maybe go again with an absolute battering, potentially. But for me, I'm kind of hoping that Jose De Souza goes on and wins this quite comfortably. But I do need to check Chris's prediction as well. So give me 2 seconds here, because Chris, I believe, predicted 8-4 to Jose De Souza in this game. So if it stays, maybe, with Jose De Souza getting himself a good foothold in this game, then that has got a chance. But he's also going to have to watch out here on the 180s tonight, Chris, because he predicted 29. I think, as it stands, we are already up to 15 180s on the night with 2 games left to go and 3/4 of this match. So the 180 prediction might be the thing that stumps him here. But we'll have to see. As James Wade still averaging 105 in this game. Jose De Souza just averaging under 100. But with the way that he started this game, very reminiscent of what happened in the last match for James Wade, where he was able to take out the good low finishers on a low average. And it's kind of going not his way this time, it's going the opposite. As Jose De Souza looks to smack in another 180 and doesn't, but a 140 will do. He's down to 72 with James Wade at 164. Apparently, Chris says Adrian Lewis is number 31 in the rankings. He's going down, I think. He'll not be in the top 32 soon, that's for sure. But a chance here for a 72 checkout. Treble 20-6 needed. He's going to go the 18s route. Oh, do it. Oh, that's brilliant. I love Jose De Souza when he does that. He loves going for the double 18s route when he goes on 72. And he does it again. And look at James Wade's reaction. Just another roll of the eyes. And James Wade here has not really had many chances to check out. He's had 1 opportunity. As for Jose De Souza, he's had 4 opportunities at doubles. And he's taken every single one out. And I tell you something. This is a very good Jose De Souza performance, isn't it? As he looks to just steamroll through this game. And he's such a good player to watch. And I genuinely do take my comments back of that he can't win anything. I think I sat there about 6 or 7 nights ago and said De Souza will not win anything with the mistakes he makes. But Tell you something right now, he's on absolute ridiculous form. As Audio Murphy says, hit the like button. You're a legend, hopefully. How many likes we got? 16. There's 72 of you. Let's get the likes up. And of course, if you've enjoyed it so far, don't forget to leave a subscription. I don't know if anybody else is doing a watch along tonight, but for those of you that have chose to come in here, thank you very much. I'd say, you know, if you watch the likes of Matthew Edgar and the darts referee, they are the hardcore darts fans. They are, I mean, I'm a hardcore dart fan myself, but they are the ones that have the knowledge of the game. I'm the clown of the community. I'm the pisshead, the alcoholic of the group that just has a good time and goes mental whenever a 9-darter goes in. So if you're into that type of stuff, then you're in the right place. You're in the right place. Bernie Smith saying he's the 30 players better than Lewis. I'm not lying, I think there's about 50 players better than Lewis right now. He's not in good form at all. Didn't go to the Super Series either in Germany. And I don't know really know what's going on with him. I think the only positive is that he has lost a lot of weight recently. He's looking really good. As Jose de Souza is probably going to go to 4-2 here with James Wade. He's got 2 darts at double 10. 1 dart double 5 now for James Wade to get a leg back on the board, which he gets. And it's 4-2. And that just gets him a little bit closer to Jose de Souza in this match. And there's a long way to go in this game. And he's going to be under some pressure, isn't he, Jose de Souza, to keep winning legs on the board. But this is another pretty good game to start the evening. Let's hope we do get a few more good games of the night. Daz asking me, who's the best 180s caller? I mean, obviously Russ Bray's got the distinctive voice. But for me, it's probably George Noble. Oh, but then again, Kurt Bevins as well. I know Kurt Bevins has always said that when he tends to do 180s, he tends to kind of get geared up by the occasion. You know, if somebody's hitting 180s left, right and centre, then it does tend to really get him in the mood, as there might be a 180 here, and there is a 180. Let's get Paul Hinks on, because that's another 180, and that's 6 in the match. As he looks to claim a 5-2 lead. I mean, Harrison Rice, he's putting a very good shout. Bruce Spendley, when he refed. I agree with you on that one. I do agree with you on that one. Bruce used to have a very good call. Shame he doesn't referee anymore. I know obviously a lot of people tend to like Russ Bray because he's got the distinctive croaky voice. But, I mean, obviously Russ has got the distinctive 180 sound, hasn't he? With a croaky voice. So, for me, it's between Russ Bray and I think Kurt Bevins. It's a tough call, though. It's a tough call. Chance here, though, for Jose de Souza to check out 161. Gets treble 20. Gets treble 17. 1 dart at the bull. This would be a brilliant check out. Oh, and he just doesn't get it. And he hits the outer bull. And there's a chance here now that James Wade can check out the 141 and make it 4-3. Which he's not going to be able to do. So Jose de Souza is coming back here with 2 darts at double 8 for a 5-2 lead in this match. And a chance to just get himself a little bit of a breakaway. He's going to go for double 12 instead here. Gets 12. So he's got 1 dart at double 6. Which he gets. And that's a 5-2 lead for Jose de Souza in this game. And he will be feeling very comfortable with how he's played so far in this match. And I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you, with the scoreboard. But the scoreboard seems to have just stopped working for a second. So I do apologise about that. Hopefully it starts working in a second because it's stuck on that next leg. There we go. And I mean, you can see the reactions, can't you, from James Wade. Every single leg, there's always some form of reaction from him. And he needs to find a bit of a rhythm here, doesn't he? Or else Jose de Souza is going to probably win this fairly comfortably without ever really being tested. So Jose de Souza down to 264 after 6 starts. And it's a Johnny Wade then. James Wade going to be able to get himself here a 100. And he's down to 341. So a little bit of an advantage here for the special one. To just maybe get another leg on the board. And get this game done and dusted with fairly quickly. And he's played very well so far. As for James Wade, is he still averaging over 100? No, he's not. 98 now, so his average has dropped massively as the game has continued on. Dad's saying Russ will be back. Yes, he will be. There's only 2 referees, so it's quite easy to guess which refs are going to be reffing the matches tonight. Not really much is there to predict when there's only 2 of them. But a chance here for a 1-6-4 finish for Jose de Souza. He's not going to be able to get it, unfortunately. But what can he leave himself on? The answer is he leaves himself on tops. Brilliant 1-2-4 there to leave himself on a respectable finish. And with James Wade only getting 60, Jose de Souza is going to have 6 starts here to check out on tops. And you would expect the special one to take a 6-2 lead in this game. He's got 2 darts at double 10. And he gets it. And it's 6-2 to Jose de Souza. And he will now be surely feeling in his head that if he can get the next leg on the board, get that guaranteed point, that this game will probably be done in the next 5 or 10 minutes, maybe even less than that, if he can continue to steamroll on. And James Wade, just not really getting into this game so far tonight, has got all the work to do. And more, you could really say. And as it stands, with the Premier League table, once again, Jose de Souza's leg difference is rocketing up from the 0 that I think he started on. And Jose de Souza is now up to a +8 legs difference, which means that if he does win this game, I believe Jose de Souza will move into the top 4 for the first time in quite a while. In fact, it might even be the first time this Premier League season that he's done it. So a big opportunity in the next few minutes for Jose de Souza. But we've seen it before with James Wade. There has been a few games in the past, specifically in this tournament recently, where he has got a few legs back on the board and tried to claw his way back into it, but ultimately left it too little too late. And I think that's what's going to be here, because there's a chance for a 180 for Jose de Souza, and a 180 it shall be. And that is now the 7th 180 of the match, and the 4th for Jose de Souza. As James Wade can't check out 127, so a chance now for Jose de Souza to get the first ton plus finish of this game and check out 115, which he's not going to be able to do here, as he doesn't hit treble 18. So James Wade, a chance to make it 6-3 on double 14. Tony walks in, de Souza win, and MVG beats Johnny. De Souza will move into the top 4. There we go. So he has got a chance here, but James Wade makes it 6-3, and it will just give the machine a little bit of belief that if he can maybe get another leg or 2 on the board, he can claw his way back into it. But in the end, Jose de Souza has just got to make sure here that he doesn't allow him the chance, as he starts with 60 in this 10th leg. And if James can capitalise on that, which he will, he'll get 140, then it does put him in the driving seat to maybe get another leg back on the board. Real nerves now, isn't it, for Jose de Souza? We've had a few games where he had a little bit of a foothold. Played against Glen Durrant, had a few legs on the board, and then I think Durrant just got 1 or 2 back in the game. I think he played against Aspinall and eventually struggled in that match a little bit to eventually see out the game. Same with Gary Anderson yesterday. He was very in cruise control, and then Gary Anderson started to just get into a little bit of form at the end of the match, but ultimately was too little too late. But what you can't do is let a player like James Wade get control of this match, because we know what he's like. A very cool and composed player, as he gets himself a 140, James, to leave himself down at 81. And there's a chance here for the machine to get back-to-back legs on the board. And he's going to have at least 6 starts to do that, as Jose de Souza hits a 140 to leave 195. So chance here for an 81 checkout for James Wade. Gets 19. Gets 14, which means he's going to have no darts. And he won't have to rush it with Jose de Souza not on a finish. However, Jose de Souza, just for a bit of fun, smacks in a 180. And he's down to 15. But will he be able to have a chance here? The answer is no, because James Wade instantly checks out on tops. And that is 2 legs back-to-back on the board for James Wade, who will now surely start to feel here that if he can get another leg on the board and make it 6-5, then Jose de Souza might just buckle under the pressure here. Although saying that, when you start off with a 60, you're giving every opportunity to Jose de Souza to punish you. And I'll tell you something, he's on for the 180 here. And punish he shall, because that's another 180. Another special one. That's 9 in the match now. And a chance maybe, even for a cheeky little 9 darter. However, James Wade will respond with a 180 of his own. And that's back-to-back as we enter to the double figures for 180s in this game. And De Souza here, not going to have a chance at a 9 darter, sadly. And only gets 60. Not good. Can James Wade capitalise? Dad's saying it's the one who does the boxing with Devon. Yes, it is Adam Smith who's on commentary tonight. And James Wade doesn't. He only gets, what, I think 34? I think he got to leave 237. And a chance now for Jose de Souza to get into the driving seat, which he does. Gets 2 treble 19s. He's down to 127 with James Wade at 237. However, James Wade here on for a 180 maybe. And gets it. And that's a 180 and he puts himself right back into the driving seat. Unless Jose de Souza checks out 127 here, which he's not going to be able to do. So James Wade has a chance to make it 6-5. With 2 darts at tops. And a chance to get himself back into the game. Which he does. And this is a game where the machine will not back down. And the special one. He's under some serious pressure because now James Wade has an opportunity to make it 6-all in this match. And Jose de Souza is buckling. And that does also mean that Chris is out. And there will be no winners of Super 6 again tonight. Once again, for the second day running, every player is out by the second match. Which is a real shame indeed. Unlucky Chris on that one. Very unlucky indeed. And of course we will be doing Super 6 again tomorrow night. For the last night of action before our 2-week break again. So if you do want to take part, then do leave a subscription on the channel. Every single day of the Premier League of Darts, you've got a chance to win 25 quid as part of our Sports Corner Super 6. So if you do want to get involved, then stick around on the channel as always. Because we will be bringing that back again tomorrow for the final 4 games. And it means that the money stays in the pocket for now. It stays in the vault, I guess you could say. And hopefully we'll have a winner at some point. Or else it's going to be a very cheap Super 6 for me, isn't it? Which is the whole point of the game. I guess it's supposed to be hard to win the cash. But ultimately, it has been very tough, hasn't it, for everybody to predict so far in their games. But Jose de Souza here at 242. James Wade at 301. I tell you something. This is a little bit sloppy from Jose. He has really, really allowed James Wade to get back into this match. Although saying that, he might finally be able to break the duct as he gets a 180. He does. And that's the perfect time to hit the maximum. Because we're now up to 11 180s in the game. Sorry, 12 180s now in the game. And a chance here to finally take that all-important point if he can check out 62. Treble 10, double 16 needed. He's got for 10 first. Which means he's going to have 1 dart at tops to make it 7-5. And he doesn't get it. And now there's a chance for James Wade to check out 160. And if there's one man you wouldn't want to check out a ton plus finish, it's James Wade, which he's not going to be able to do anyway. So Jose de Souza will now have a chance to finally make it 7-5 in this game on tops. And he needs to take it. First dart is a little bit too high. Second dart a little bit too low, but a good marker. And third dart doesn't hit. And a chance now for James Wade to make it 6-6 in this game with 100. He's a man who knows how to take out the ton plus finish. But he's not going to take it out this time. And James Wade now gives the opportunity for Jose de Souza to finally get the point on the board with double 10. Can he get it? He needs double 5 with 2 darts. And he gets it. And it's a guaranteed point for the special one who shakes his head. Because he knows he's allowed James Wade every opportunity to get back into this match. But now, James Wade will have to win the next 2 legs on the bounce. or else Souza will be taking the victory home. And an all-important victory it shall be if he can get it. Because so far, he has played very well. But not well enough, I think, in my opinion. As he smacks in a 140 to start. Tony saying if James comes back to win, we should call him James the Machine Gunwade. Hey, a little bit of a pun there. Play on words. I like it. I'll give you credit on that one. So, James Wade at 261 here. Jose de Souza, surely not another 180. Oh, he's another one. He's racking them in now. That's 13 180s in this game. He's down to 181. James Wade can only get himself down to 195, which means the advantage is with Jose de Souza here to get himself into a good position for a checkout. Can he get a treble and close the game out finally? Really needs a treble and he doesn't get it. So only 1-2-1 here. And James Wade, if he can get a treble on the board, he can now get himself into the driving seat, which he won't either. He only gets 65. So Jose de Souza, chance for the first ton plus finish of the match, a 1-2-1. Gets the outer ball first, which means treble 20 for double 18. Gets the treble 20, double 18 for a 1-2-1 finish. Oh, just wide. And what an opportunity this could be now. James Wade to check out 130. Gets one treble 20. Doesn't get the other one, which means now a chance here for Jose de Souza to seal the deal. Double 9 needed for 8-5. 3 match darts in hand. Hits 9 to start, which means he's going to have one dart, a double 4 for the victory, which he doesn't get. And now James Wade has a chance at 25 to hold his throw. Gets the 5, 2 darts a double 10, and he usually loves it. And love it he shall, because it's 7-6. And the machine gun, that is Wade, is taking this to the last leg. And I tell you something, Jose de Souza has bottled this game. And I can't believe it. He's going to bottle it, isn't he? And he's going to ruin my match treble and my other bet as well. Cheers, Jose de Souza. Ruining everybody's bets tonight. Unless he gets this next leg on the board here. But what a good performance it's been from James Wade to fight back in this game. You know, you could have ultimately looked at this match. And when he was 3 or 4 legs down, you would have expected Jose de Souza to have just rampantly beaten the machine. He should have probably been off stage about 10 minutes ago, but he's done really, really well to get back into it. And he has a chance here. So Jose de Souza gets 100 to leave 3 or 5. James Wade needs to match it or go one better, which he matches it and gets 3 or 5. What can Jose de Souza do here? Really needs a treble on the board, you would feel. A 140 maybe even could be good enough. And he starts up with a treble 20, Jose de Souza. Oh no, is he? Surely. Oh, he's the maximum. Talk about timing from the special one. That's the 14th 180 of this match. And surely now Jose de Souza finds himself in the driving seat to take this leg home. He's on for a 1-2-5 checkout, which he doesn't need to take out. But he's going to go for it. Gets 20, which means he's not going to check it out. But what finish will he leave himself on? And what was that? Missed the board with his last dart, so he's going to be an 80. Which he's going to have to check out here because James Wade's got a 140 to leave 70. So a chance here for Jose de Souza to seal the deal on treble 20, double 10. And he's got to take it out. Gets the 20. Which means he's got one dart at tops and it's an awkward one. And he doesn't get it. And he's bottled it. He's bottled it. And surely now James Wade's going to capitalise and take the result home. He's got 2 darts at tops. 1 dart at tops left here. And he's got it. And James Wade has fought back in a brilliant, brilliant comeback from the machine. And the special one isn't the special one in this game because you've got to say he bowled it. He bottled it. He was 3 or 4 legs ahead and somehow the machine gun, that is James Wade, has fought back so well in this game. And in the end, what a result for him, because he's able to get that draw on the board. My bets have died. Thank you very much, Jose de Souza, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be very disappointed as well. But what a result for James Wade, who gets that all-important draw on the board. And I will tell you something. If you are one of the players in the top 4, you'll actually be looking on and thinking, fantastic news that they've drawn, because ultimately neither of them really get a step closer towards the top 4. And in the end, Jose de Souza, in my opinion, has absolutely bottled that game and really allowed James Wade to get back into that match and get a very good result on the board. And fair play to him, because he had to do a lot of hard work there and got the result in the end. But we have had, of course, a few games tonight already. We started off the evening with Nathan Aspinall up against Dimitri van den Bergh, and that was a very good game. Both players averaging over 102 in that match. But in the end, Dimitri van den Bergh, in a very close-fought game, was the victor of that match, came out with an 8-6 victory, and a really, really good performance indeed. And yet again, another good game on the night. Jose de Souza, however, after hitting 10 180s, somehow doesn't come out with the victory in this game. It was a really, really disappointing result in the end for Jose de Souza. But what a performance from James Wade, who was able to fight back and get a point on the board. And we do have 2 more games to come this evening. Gary Anderson is up against Peter Wright. That is the next game, as the 2 Scott players are desperate to get some points on the board. We know, of course, that both of those could maybe be slowly out of the race for the top 4, especially if they do not win tonight. And then that final game of the evening, it could be a potential belter. Michael van Gerwen taking on Johnny Clayton. What a game that could be. That one coming up a little bit later on tonight. Hopefully, it should be a very, very good match indeed. But as I said earlier, the Super 6 for this evening, no winners again, sadly. Chris was the last player left in Super 6, and unfortunately his prediction of the James Wade de Souza game was instantly, well, it wasn't instantly lost, but he predicted 8-4 to Jose, and that didn't happen in the end. So ultimately everybody's out of Super 6, but if you do want to take part again, then do leave a subscription on the channel. You need to be subscribed to win, but you will be able to take part again tomorrow. We'll have our 4 games, as well as the most 180s and the highest checkout of the night. And of course, you might have a chance to win 25 quid tomorrow night. So why not take part? It's free to play, and you might win yourself a little bit of cash on the side. So that, of course, is the game of the night so far, I think you'd have to say. However, we have got a few other games going on, not just in the world of darts right now. If you've been on the channel before, you'll know we've been doing multi-streams over the last few weeks. Both the Kierans are live on the channel right now, covering the 2 Europa League games, which I believe, as it stands, are both 0-0. So not really much going on in them right now. But if you do want to go over there, say a quick hi to both the Kierans. They're working there. They're working really hard to try and keep that stream as good as they possibly can while there's no goals going on. But hopefully we do get a bit more drama coming up soon in those games. So if you do want to go over, highly do recommend checking them out on the Sports Corner. But for those of you maybe wondering what's still to come on the channel, here's a look at all the action to come on the Sports Corner over the next few days. It's a busy one. Coming up this week on the Sports Corner, you can join both the Kierans tonight live for the 2 semi-finals in the Europa League Gold Show. That starts at 10 to 8. We have the final night of Premier League of Darts action before the 2-week break. That starts tomorrow from 7:05. Then on Saturday, up the Millers. It's the Championship final day. Who will go down with 2 massive games in the EFL from 12:20. And then what a weekend in the Bundesliga. We start off with Dortmund against Leipzig. That's on Saturday at 2:25. Alongside a brilliant match coming up between Bayern Munich and Gladbach, which is at 5:25 on Saturday. That is your week and weekend on the Sports Corner. And there's a look at the content to come over the next few days. As we said, lots of football action still to come your way. We know that we are getting towards the end of the season now across the big European leagues as well as the smaller divisions. So we're going to be covering as much as that as we pretty much possibly can, including the Championship final day. So if you want to join us live for that, I'm going to be streaming it. And what a final 2 hours, isn't it, really? It's going to be. I'm a Rotherham fan, so I'm absolutely shitting myself for it. So hopefully the Millers win and we stay up. But I'm not going to lie, I don't think that's going to happen. But either way, let's talk about the game that we just watched a moment ago between James Wade and Jose de Souza. Because if we're being honest with you, Jose de Souza bottled that. And massively. Absolutely bottled it, in my personal opinion. And I don't know what's going on here, but Matt Porter's there tonight, the chief executive, and I don't know whether he's just being very quickly asked about the crowd coming back, but I thought he was doing a bit of punditry work there for Sky Sports. Very confused as why they got him on, but no, they are, of course, advertising the fact that fans are going to be back in the stadiums in a few weeks' time, which is brilliant. But, yeah, that's all that going on. But let's go back to this game. He bottled it, and massively bottled it. Because when you look at the stats, I think James Wade played very well. But ultimately, when you actually look at the stats of the match, he bottled it big time. And I think, if you're being honest with you, if you are Jose de Souza, you're going to be coming out of this game and thinking, how the hell did I not come out with a victory? Because I played very well. I got some good results on the board. And still I'm sat here with nothing. And when you actually look at the stats of the match, you can see Jose de Souza averaged 97.56. James Wade averaged 97.4. So not necessarily the greatest in terms of the actual averages overall. I think it's decent averages at best, but could have been better. As for the checkouts, this was the problem tonight for Jose de Souza. 38.89%, which is not a stat you usually would expect from a player of Jose de Souza's quality. Usually he's quite good when it comes to the checkouts, but in the end he wasn't able to get as many checkouts as he would have liked on the board, and realistically he didn't get anything in the end. As for James Wade, 70% on checkouts, that's 7 out of 10 at doubles, fantastic for him. Really good performance, and it just proves why James Wade is one of the best players when it comes to finishing. Absolutely unbelievable. And fair play to him for a quality performance with 10 180s. 10 180s for Jose de Souza. And he didn't get anything. Well, he did. He got a point, but not the 2 points that he probably felt like he would have deserved in that game. And if you're James Wade, then you'll be absolutely buzzing with that, because he would have been looking when he was 3 or 4 legs down thinking, well, I'm not going to get anything from this game now, am I? I'm going to lose it in the end. But no, he does go and get something. And fair play to him, because when you look at the table, this isn't fully updated, of course. We did already have the Aspinall game, which is a little bit further ahead. But Aspinall stays on top of the league. Dimi van den Bergh in second. Neither of these players actually move into the top 4, I believe, unless Johnny Clayton gets battered. Then maybe we will potentially see him move out of the top 4 and drop, and maybe Jose de Souza will go up. But ultimately there, I think Jose de Souza will be very, very disappointed in himself in the fact that he didn't get anything in this game. And I think he will be looking to hopefully bounce back with a good performance tomorrow night, because, well, it wasn't a great performance today at all, was it? Apparently, it's 1-0 to Manchester United, Cavani scoring. So, not like we didn't know already, but United are through to the next round, which is good to see. And then Dad says, I'm not sure if there is F1 this weekend. There is, yes. There is a race on at 3 o'clock, I think, on Sunday. So there's a bit of F1 as well, I believe, if I am correct. But as Tony said in the chat, experience showed there for the machine gun. And you are spot on. Kept himself cool, kept himself calm. I think there's a lot of players out there, especially in this day and age, that if they do go 3 or 4 legs down, they kind of look at the match and they don't necessarily think it's done. But 9 times out of 10, the mentality isn't there. But for James Wade, he's got that experience of being able to go out there and consistently win matches and come back. And that's exactly what he did in this game. A really, really good performance from him. And in the end, he comes out with a point on the board. And a very deserved point and a great performance. And that is the James Wade we love to see, because he's a very good player on his day. And I really want to see him do well in this competition. And doing well he is indeed. Which means we can now move on to the 2 players that aren't. If you would have said to me at the beginning of this Premier League that Gary Anderson and Peter Wright would be the 2 players sat at the very bottom of the table, not in terms of the actual bottom, but would be the 2 players sat at the bottom of the top 8, I would have probably laughed at you and said, not a prayer. But that's the situation we're in right now. And look, Gary Anderson has played awful darts for the majority of this tournament. I don't think, in my opinion, he's played really, really well. Apparently, Daz has just said capacity crowd at the match play. Did he? If somebody's listening along, I didn't get to hear them. Did he say max capacity at the match play? Because I've got tickets booked for it. So I'm hoping he said max capacity for it. But if anybody heard him, do give me a heads up on that, because I obviously I want to know, because I've got tickets booked for pretty much the whole week. So I'd kind of like to know if I'm going or not. But yeah, if it is max capacity for the match play, then I'm absolutely buzzing for that, because I'm going to be there in Blackpool in July for it. So unfortunately, not going to be streaming it on the channel, because I'm going to be getting absolutely pissed enjoying the darts, which is very nice indeed. But yeah, back to this game. Gary Anderson's not played good darts at all this year. I cannot remember for the death of me the last game in which he averaged over 100. And in fact, I'm going to do the scouting now and just look back at Gary Anderson's last few games and find a match where he averaged over 100. So when he drew against James Wade, he averaged 98. When he played against Jose de Souza, he averaged 99. When he beat Glen Durrant, he averaged 97. The thing is with Gary, he has got quite a consistent score. 95 against Johnny Clayton. When he beat Rob Cross, he averaged 94. He doesn't tend to average over 100 a lot. In fact, I think when you actually look at it, I don't think he's ever actually averaged 100 in the tournament this season, which is mad when you think about it. But for Peter Wright, I mean, he's not played great either, has he? He's not played great at all. I mean, when you look at the table, as you can see, in terms of the results, Gary Anderson now on a 4-game streak without a victory. Peter Wright, if he loses tonight or draws, that'll be 3 games without a win. And you look at the form for Peter Wright, he's only won 1 of his last 5. That's not Peter Wright form. For Gary Anderson, he's only won 3 out of 10 games. That's not usual Gary Anderson form. But I think for me, if Gary Anderson loses here, as Chris has just said, I think Gary Anderson's playoff hopes are gone. I don't think he will be getting into the playoffs, if I'm honest with you. He would need an absolute miracle to get himself there, and that's why I feel like he's going to be out of the competition in terms of the playoffs if he doesn't get it. But you never know. You never know. We will have to see whether or not he does or not. But I'm just very quickly trying to find out with the World Match Play what Matt Porter just said, because I missed it, because obviously I hadn't got my headphones on. So do give me 2 seconds here. I want to find out what he's just said. Matt Porter announcing the World Match Play looks set to go ahead with a full crowd should all restrictions be lifted on June 21st. So they are looking for full capacity for the match play, which is fantastic news. That's what Matt Porter's be trusted. But I don't think we can realistically look at it with optimistic values until we know what's happening in June. So that's what Matt Porter came out with a few moments ago. World Match Play looking with a full crowd. Fantastic. I've got tickets, so I'll be there for it. But yeah, I see this game ending in a 7-7 draw. I think Peter Wright's going to win it. I think it's tough, isn't it? I back Peter Wright to win, but at the same time, I also look at this game and I think to myself, I mean, Gary Anderson usually tends to play quite alright when he plays Peter Wright, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to do it tonight or not, especially with how poor he has been on form. It always seems to be that quite recently he's been talking a lot about, is it like a fishery business he's got going on? Seems to be really focused on that instead, and fair play to him. You know, maybe he's not enjoying darts as much as he has been recently, and if he wants to move into a different business in the future, why not get it started now? So when he does retire from darts, he can go back into the world and have a good business set up already. But either way, he's on the hockey right now, and he has to be focused on the darts and not his fishery business, because this is a big opportunity to just slightly get himself back into the race for the top 4. And especially with Jose de Souza and James Wade drawing, it means that the gap between those 4 might not be as big as maybe the likes of Jose de Souza and James Wade would have wanted it to have been. But we'll have to see, because as Chris says, both players will fancy the chances to beat each other, and I agree with you. They will. Both players will fancy the chances of beating each other. But the real question is, who will come out on top in this all-Scott affair? Gary Anderson with a 34% double success and a 95 average in this tournament, which, as I said yesterday, I expected Gary Anderson's double success to be pretty low in the competition. But we'll have to see, because tonight could be a different equation, could be a different occasion, could be a different match completely, because we've had 4 very good plays tonight, 2 very good games. Let's hope that the tradition continues on as we are about to get underway with this match. Do put your predictions in the chat, because if Gary Anderson loses tonight and Peter Wright wins, if Johnny Clayton picks up a point minimum to MVG, there will be a 5-point gap over himself and the top 4, and then you would feel that the race might be over for the Scot to get himself into the top 4. Anderson's taken at least a point in 9 out of his 12 matches against Wright, so when you look at that stat, it kind of looks in Gary Anderson's favour, but not when you're not in the best of form, as we're about to get underway with the action here in our 3rd game of the night. And we are underway with Gary Anderson against Peter Wright. And usually, when you're coming into a game like this with players at the bottom, usually, last season it was the likes of Daryl Gurney, Daryl Gurney and Rob Cross, who were down at the back end of the table. Not really a amazing affair to watch, but with Gary Anderson and Peter Wright being there, usually when these two play against each other, it's a great game to watch. And as I said, I back Gary, but he really needs to get himself going tonight and try and steady the ship. But will Peter Wright be able to get himself out of trouble and back into the race for the top four? Because it is slowly diminishing for both of these players as the days go by. Ultimately, Gary Anderson, as I said, could be out tonight of the race if he doesn't get anything. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. Tony Walker's saying Anderson and Wright are my favourite two players. They're very good, aren't they? Very good. And then Chris has put Dirk van Dijvenbode up to number 24 in the world after his recent Super Series win. I'm really excited to see who goes to the match play in July. I know it can still be affected by the Super Series because we've got another event in June, and I think we've got another event at the end of June as well. I think 2 events in June, so there is still potentially an opportunity for a few of those players not in the Premier League to go out there and get themselves into the World Match Play. And of course, those that aren't in the top 16 too. So really excited for it. We'll have to see though, because it's all about this game. As Gary Anderson doesn't check out 36, and Peter Wright here will have an opportunity to check out on 134. And seeing what you guys have been saying in the chat, Chris is predicting 8-5 to Gary Anderson. Daz is predicting 8-4 to Wright. Martin's going the opposite and going 8-4 to Gary Anderson. And then Daz says he's gone for a new set tonight, Peter Wright. I will have to see in a second because I think he has. As Gary Anderson takes the first leg of the evening on double 4, and that might just be the confidence booster that he needs to get himself kick-started in this game because it is going to be a tight affair. Neither player will want to drop any points in the Premier League now until the end of the season. So what a way to get yourself back on the board with a win tonight. But we'll have to see. Maybe it ends in a draw, which would actually not really work out in any of the players' favours. You kind of need 2 points or nothing. But Gary Anderson here smacks in a 180. And that's the first one of this game. And I'll tell you something tonight. With the way the 180s were in the first 2 matches, I think a lot of the predictions for the 180s would have gone out the window very quickly. But can Gary Anderson here maybe have a chance for a 9-darter? He gets 4 perfect darts, but not a 5th. As Tony says, if Gary gets his doubles tonight, he has a chance. And he's started off very well with the doubles. Putting himself into a very decent position to kickstart in this game. But it's all about keeping Peter Wright at bay. He gets a 140. And he's down to 2-1-4. Chris saying take MVG and keep your mouth shut, right? Because this is what happens if you don't keep your mouth shut. You go in this bad form. I think he's tough, isn't it? I don't really know what has sent Peter Wright into bad form. It's strange, but we said before, when it does get to fans being there in a few weeks, when we get to that last week, the table could be very different. But then at the same time, you also have to look and think, have these players left it too late to get back into that race? Or will we see the likes of Van den Bergh and maybe the Aspinall that drop off? As Peter Wright checks out tops to make it 1-1 in this game. And this Battle of the Scots is 1 apiece in the early stages of this game. As Gary Anderson looks to smack in a second 180 of the night. But he'll get a 140 to start. Can Peter Wright maybe do one better and get a 180 to start off his 3rd leg of the game? He's going to get a treble 20 to start. And they are different darts tonight. In fact, no, they look quite similar to the ones we were using yesterday. I'm probably wrong. The barrels look different. As he does get a 180 to start. And that's Peter Wright's first 180 of this game. And that's 2. As Peter Wright's apparently averaging 110 in this game to Gary Anderson's 101. So it is a good start. But we know what happens in these games. That he does kind of falter out as the match continues on. But it has been a very high quality of play tonight, hasn't it? From all of the players. We said yesterday it was one of those where I think a lot of players played poorly. James Wade played crap. Gary Anderson played crap. Peter Wright played crap. And then you had a few players playing very well. I think a lot of these players tonight had to up their game and really go out there and put in a good performance. And we saw that from Jose. He had a pretty decent game, but didn't get anything. Wade improved. Aspinall and Van Bergh played very well. And these are the two which need the biggest boost of them all. As Gary Anderson has a chance to check out 1-3-2 here. Gets one ball, needs another. Goes 14. So he won't be checking out. And maybe a chance here for Peter Wright to check out 1-5-6 for the highest finish of the night. As Chris says, he doesn't see Aspinall and Van Bergh dropping off with fans back. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, if anything, it'll actually help Asp. You know what he's like with the crowd. He likes to have them there to motivate him, to get the energy flowing through his veins. He's one of those players that loves the crowd. And I think Van Bergh will love the crowd as well, having those back. As Gary Anderson, he has a chance to check out on tops for 2-1, which he does. And that's much better from Gary. I think we've seen a little bit too much in this Premier League season. Poor misses from Gary on checkouts. And of course, I can't sit here and say that I could check out any better, because I'd be 100 times worse. You know, if I was to play Gary Anderson, he'd trounce me. But, you know, even Gary will know himself that when it comes to finishing on the doubles, he just hasn't been able to really get himself going. And that's been the problem for him. And with only a 34% checkout, not really what you want, is it, in the Premier League? For the whole tournament average. As Gary Anderson just goes under the 100 mark for average. Well, Peter Wright is averaging 102. And I can agree with you on that one, Chris. We can accept it's bad news for King with fans back. Yes, I can agree with you on that one. As Gary Anderson smacks in another 180 in this game. And that is now 2 180s in the match for Gary Anderson. And he's now up to 103 average. And he'll be hoping here that he can maybe get a 2-leg lead over his World Cup winning teammates. But yeah, I am so excited. I mean, obviously it's great news to hear from Matt Porter tonight that fans, they're planning it. But I guess we already knew that news anyway. I think they came out in an interview recently. It was like with Online Darts. And I think Matt Porter said that we're always expecting to get the World Match Play back with full crowds. And we are a long time away from that still. You know, the World Match plays until July. We've got at least another just under 2 months before we find out what goes on with the changes in June. As Gary Anderson makes it 3-1 with a checkout on 87 with the double 18. And this is much better from Gary, isn't it? Much better. As he feels in very good confidence tonight. Very simply done, I think is the best way to put it for Gary. But yeah, I'm hoping we can have fans back all together. All in unison, in fancy dress, chanting, "Oh, Gary, Gary." That's what we want. We've missed it. It's been too long without it. But Gary Anderson is in full control of this game here. And I'll tell you something. This could be the opportunity for Gary Anderson to get himself that real confidence boost that he's been so desperately needing. As for Peter Wright, he could be finding himself simmer down the table. And let's not forget last year that Peter Wright didn't make the top 4 of the Premier League. You know, he struggled to get himself into there. As Gary Anderson looks to get a 180 and does. So that's now a 3rd 180 for Gary. The 4th of the match. And this is a good Gary Anderson performance. Chris saying with fans back up to go to Premier League in Newcastle next year. Yeah, I think I want to go to the Premier League in Sheffield, in Leeds, in Manchester. It'd be nice to go to a few events for the Premier League. So maybe next year, when it is back to normal, it's on every Thursday night. Maybe I won't be covering it as much because I'll probably try and go to as many as I can. But obviously for me, World Match Play is the main idea, and then I'm going to try and see if I can go to the World Championship. But you know what that's like trying to get tickets? It's a bloody nightmare. So 64 for Gary. Treble 8, double 20. Goes for 16. Gets the 8. So he's got tops, which he gets. And Gary Anderson is on a roll. Oh, Gary. That's what we want to see. 4-1. And this could be a pretty quickly done game. I was saying I'm hoping Ando can beat Wright. Then give him some confidence for tomorrow. He has Dimmy. And he's going to need it, isn't he, Gary? Because obviously coming up against Dimmy van den Bergh is always going to be tough. But if you're coming up against him in bad form, then you know what Dimmy van den Bergh is like. Especially with the amount of times he averages over 100. He can maul you. And that's why Gary needs to get himself going. Wright did make it last year. Oh shit, he did, yeah. My bad. He just did very bad. That's why I couldn't remember it. Yeah, it was MVG who missed out. My bad. Apologies. As Gary looks to smack in another 180 here. And the way he's going, he's rocking and rolling. That's another one. And that's 4 now for Gary Anderson. And 5 for the match. Can Peter Wright maybe get 180 of his own? No, he can't. Why did I back Peter Wright? He's been absolutely shocking tonight. And Gary Anderson here, steamrolling on, potentially, to getting himself a very comfortable win. And most importantly as well, let's not forget that Gary Anderson needed a comfortable win for his legs difference. Because his legs difference is so shockingly low that he needed a result where he wins by 5, 6, 7 legs. Maybe this could be the game that gets him back and gets his leg difference towards a positive section. Daz saying, who's Wright got tomorrow? I'll have to check in a second. Chris saying, at the moment, don't see Wright making it. Nah, I don't see Wright making it. I don't even see Gary making it. And I said I'm a Gary fan. I hope he does. I'd love to see Gary Anderson there, but I just think there's too much ground to make. And they would seriously need either someone like a Johnny Clayton or a Van der Bergh or a Jose de Souza to just completely drop off form and maybe lose 2 or 3 games in a row and then them go and win games. And, you know, let's not forget that Gary Anderson, I think, still has to play MVG again, still has to play Dimmy tomorrow. He's got some tough games to come. And I cannot see Gary getting as many wins as he'd want on the board to go to the top 4. So I do think he's left it a little bit too late. But chance here for Peter Wright to make it 4-2, which he has 2 darts at 9. And then he gets it with his last dart, and it's 4-2 in this game now. And that is a big leg on the board, because even with Gary Anderson curtailing away in this game, Peter Wright finds himself only 2 legs behind, and all he takes is 1 more leg on the board, and he'll find himself in a very interesting position to try and get himself back into this game. But ultimately, I just cannot see Peter Wright right now getting something. He's just not playing good enough at all for me. Really struggling in this game. Really, really struggling. And I tell you something tonight, it must be a boring night of action in the Europa League, because I'm pretty sure it's still 0-0 in the Arsenal-Villarreal game. And still 1-0 in the Man U one, so you picked the right place to come tonight, because the Europa League has been pretty boring, as Gary Anderson is for the first time averaging 104 in the tournament, and Peter Wright's only averaging 91. Not great from him at all, as Peter Wright gets 140. He's down to 226. And Gary's just offered to lend his glasses. Bit of a joke there with Gary and Russ. Oh, at least, you know, when Gary's winning, you can see the good side of things, as he does get himself a few points on the board. He's down to 164, Gary Anderson. There's a cheeky little smirk on the flying Scotsman's face. Oh, it's lovely to see, isn't it? Just seeing it on repeat again. I thought he would have got that, but he's using very fine points tonight, Peter Wright, isn't he? But Gary Anderson, either way, gets 140. He's down to 24 here. Peter Wright going to have to take out the 126, and what a moment this would be. Remember that Nathan Aspinall took out the 161 against Peter Wright in the last game, and that was the turning point in the match. But no 126 check out here for Peter Wright. So Gary needs 24 for a 5-2 lead. And I'll tell you something tonight, Gary Anderson, who does check out the 24, he looks really, really focused tonight. Really, really strange. But 140 to start for Peter Wright. Good start, you would think, for him in this 8th leg to try and make it 5-3 in the game. But Gary Anderson sticks in a 180. And Gary, he's rocking and rolling tonight. And that's his 5th 180 of the game. And maybe a chance here for another 180 for Peter Wright, which he's not going to get. But he gets 135. Can maybe Gary Anderson give us our first 9-darter opportunity of the week? We haven't had one yet. And the answer is we still won't get one. As he's averaging 107 in this game, Gary, to the 92 of Peter Wright. And when you look at it in that respect, you know, this game could easily be done in the next 5 or so minutes if Gary Anderson continues the way he is. Because Gary Anderson will now go above Peter Wright if he wins this game. And that will be excruciating for Peter Wright's leg difference as well, because he struggled in this match. And if Peter does win this by 4 or 5 legs, then you would also say Peter Wright is probably out of the race for the top 4. So Gary Anderson, chance here at 130. Peter Wright down to 68. Chris saying, does Wright need to stick to the set of darts now and stop changing them? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Shadow Lords ask, can you show the game on the screen? Unfortunately, I can't, sadly, because of copyright. If you show it on the screen, our YouTube channel will get taken down for copyright, sadly. As much as I would love to, I don't want our channel to get taken down because we've worked very hard to get this channel going as a community. So, unfortunately, I can't. But if you do want to watch it, it is on Sky Sports. It's on Sky Sports Arena. So, I do recommend checking it out. As Gary Anderson has a chance here on double 12 to check out 72. And this is vintage Gary. This is Gary Anderson that we've been missing for some time. Where's this been? Just like MVG yesterday, he's putting in a high quality performance. And for all this year, we haven't seen a quality Gary Anderson performance. But this is quality from him. And you're just seeing the constant touching of the shoulder from Peter. I think he's got a few shoulder issues here. And struggling in this game massively. He's not throwing the darts, I think, to the standard that he wants to. And in the end here, it looks like Peter Wright is probably going to lose this game by 8-2, 8-3, you would think. But in the end, I guess there's not much you can do with the shoulder issues. I guess we'll find out a little bit more tonight when we have the post-match conference. We'll have to see what is going through Peter Wright's mind, whether Gary Anderson says anything about it. But Simon says, can you show a game? Unfortunately, I can't, as I said, because of copyright issues. As much as I'd love to show it, I can't, sadly. So if you do want to watch it, it's on Sky Sports in the UK. But unfortunately, I can't. Hence why it says watch along in the title, just to make sure that if you do come in, you know it's not an actual stream of the game. Because as I said, I can't show it. Which is why we always put in the title that it's a watch along. So nobody gets mistaken. So Peter Wright back at 2-4-1 here. Gary Anderson getting 90, so he's down to tops. And this is great from Gary, isn't it? This is the best that Gary's probably played all year, in my opinion. It's not been a great Premier League, has it, for Gary? But this will be one of those games where he'll remember it as he checks out 47-2. And this is brilliant from Gary. He's up to tops, 7-2. And Gary Anderson claims a point. Peter Wright will have to get 5 legs on the bounce now. And with the way that he's playing and with the shoulder issues, it looks like Peter Wright is going to be coming out here with a very, very disappointing loss to his name. But this is just the Gary Anderson that we've been waiting for. Where have you been? It's been too long. This has been the best he's played for months. I think he's even better than some of the darts he was playing at the World Championship. And he will get his legs difference down to -4. Peter Wright will go to the bottom of the league as it stands. Which is a real shame for him. But, well, I mean, brilliant tonight from Gary. He's capitalised on the fact that Peter Wright's having a few shoulder issues. And he has pounced on it in good style. And a really, really good performance overall. In which you feel that he's going to have it all done and dusted soon, as Peter Wright smacks in a second 180 to his name in the game. And that will be, I believe, the 7th 180 of the match overall, but I don't think he's going to mean much in terms of the actual complexion of this match. So Peter Wright, 155 checkout maybe, would put him to 7-3. He's not going to get it, sadly, but he will be coming back with 3 darts in hand, as Gary Anderson cannot check out 165. And Peter Wright only leaves himself on 96. So a chance here for Garrett to capitalise. Which he's going to get at least, I think he gets 90. So he's down to 70 for Gary. And 96 for Peter Wright. So he gets 20 Peter Wright. Needs a double 18 for tops, which he doesn't hit. And a chance now for Gary Anderson to seal the deal with treble 10 for tops. With 2 darts in hand. What a victory this would be. And he doesn't get it. And now there's a chance here for Peter Wright to get a leg back on the board on tops. And it'll be an opportunity here for him to just maybe keep this game going a little bit longer. Put some pressure on Gary. Which he hits 20 to start. That's 2 darts to double 10. It's a good marker. And he hits it with his third dart. And it's 7-3. And, of course, Peter Wright has still got a lot of work to do here if he wants to get anything in this match. But ultimately, I think Gary Anderson will probably take this. Although saying that, he's only started with 56 here. And he's down to 4-4-4, Gary. So a little bit of an opportunity maybe for Peter Wright to just get himself a leg back on the board. And, I mean, it'd be another unlikely comeback tonight. We already saw James Wade come back from pretty much 4 legs down. And Peter Wright smacks in a 180. And well, if you want to get yourself back into the game, that is the 350th 180 of the tournament. But Gary Anderson smacks in a 140 of his own. So a chance here for Peter Wright maybe to just get himself back into this game a little bit and make it 7-4. However, after hitting a 180, he only hit 60. And that could be the costly mistake if Gary Anderson can pounce on it. Can he do so? He can. And he's down to 170. And now an opportunity for Gary to finally take out Peter Wright in this game. Although Peter is going to get himself 135. And he's down to 126. So we haven't had a 170 finish yet in the tournament. And we're not going to get it as of yet either. Which is a shame, because it's 11 nights now. We've had a 170. We've had 2 9-darters, which is mad. And not even a 170. But a chance here for the 126 finish for Peter Wright. Needs 2 treble 19s for double 6. He gets one of them. Gets another one. Double 6 here for 126. Which he doesn't get. And a chance now for Gary Anderson to seal the deal on treble 18 and double 10 for a vintage Gary Anderson performance. He goes 14. Which means 1 dot at tops for the win. And it's a win! Oh, Gary Anderson with a big victory against Peter Wright. And a very good victory. And that was vintage Gary. You know, we haven't seen him for a lot of this season and the year come up with a performance like that. But in a night where you can clearly see Peter Wright is in big discomfort with his shoulder. And in the end, it does mean that Gary Anderson finally comes off the bottom of the table on legs difference. Peter Wright drops to the bottom of the league on 9 points. And what a win that could be for Gary Anderson, because he did need something and fast to give him a good confidence boost. But now, I would have to say, I think that is Peter Wright, for me, out of the equation to finish in the top 4. Gary Anderson, look, on a minus legs difference, he's going to have to win a few more games quite comfortably. But if he puts in performances like that, maybe, you never know. You never know. But we'll talk about that game a little bit more in a moment. As you see on the order of play tonight, we've already had 3 games going on. We had that Gary Anderson-Peter Wright game, which finished just a moment ago. Gary Anderson with the 8-3 win. We did start off the night with Nathan Aspinall. He played a 8-6 defeat to Dimitri van den Bergh, and that was a really good game. Both players averaging over 102 in that match. 10 180s in the game overall. But Dimi van den Bergh with 61.54% on his checkouts beat Aspinall in a game which I think both players played quite well, if I'm being honest with you. Game number 2 of the night was a cracker. Probably the best game of the night for me, in my opinion. James Wade in a 7-7 draw against Jose de Souza. And Jose hit 10 180s in the match and still didn't win. He had a 97.56 average, the 10 180s, but only a 38.89% checkout success, which we know what James Wade can do. He checked out very well tonight, 70% on his checkouts. That's 7 out of 10 at doubles, and James Wade was able to put in a quality performance to come back from what being 4 legs down to draw 7-7 in a match where I think you have to say Jose de Souza bottled it. And big time. And it's really, really frustrating, I think, for him. And then we've got one more game to come tonight. And what a game it is going to be. Michael van Gerwen against Johnny Clayton. Of course, we will talk about it a little bit more later. But we know that Michael van Gerwen has an awful record this year against Johnny Clayton. He always seems to beat him, the ferret. Maybe now is the time for the green machine to break that duct, especially after averaging 109.97 yesterday in that performance against Dimitri van den Bergh. But we'll talk about that all a little bit more later on. Don't forget, if you are new to the stream, If you have enjoyed it so far, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription. It is greatly, greatly appreciated for those of you that have enjoyed the stream so far tonight. As we've said before, we've got another stream going on tonight. We've got another stream, is what I wanted to say. Of course, the Europa League is going on. Pretty terrible night from the looks of things. It has been awful from what I've seen. Arsenal still 0-0 against Villarreal, which means as it stands, Arsenal, I think, have been knocked out of the competition, which is fantastic, unless you're an Arsenal fan. And then Manchester United are currently 1-0 up against Roma, 7-2 on aggregate. That game is done and dusted anyway. We already knew Man United were in the final. But if you do want to watch that, then go and join the Keyrans. Say a quick hello to them. Join them in there. They're putting a very, very hard shift in tonight for what is probably two very piss-poor games. But here's a look at some of the other content to come on the channel over the next few days. There is a lot of football to come. Coming up this week on the Sports Corner, you can join both the Keyrans tonight live for the two semi-finals in the Europa League Goal Show. That starts at 10 to 8. We have the final night of Premier League of Darts action before the 2-week break. That starts tomorrow from 7:05. Then on Saturday, up the Millers. It's the Championship final day. Who will go down with two massive games in the EFL from 12:20. And then what a weekend in the Bundesliga. We start off with Dortmund against Leipzig. That's on Saturday at 2:25. Alongside a brilliant match coming up between Bayern Munich and Gladbach, which is at 5:25 on Saturday. That is your week and weekend on the Sports Corner. And there we go. As you can see, busy week of action, isn't it? We've got the Championship final day. I'm going to be live with that. I'm going to be covering the two main games. Derby against Sheffield Wednesday, and then Rotherham are up against Cardiff. I'm a big Rotherham fan as well, so I am absolutely bricking myself for the final day of action. But of course, we'll keep you up to date with the rest of the scores in all of the Championship fixtures, which I'll be live from about 12:20 to talk through all of the action there. Very excited for that, of course. But then we've also got the Bundesliga as well on Saturday. We've got two big matches, and we've still, of course, got more watch-alongs to confirm over the next few weeks. But without further ado, let's talk about that last game between Gary Anderson and Peter Wright, because, I mean, Gary Anderson tonight, we could clearly see some major discomfort for Peter Wright. But finally, Gary Anderson averages over 100. You love to see it. Look, he hasn't averaged over 100 in a single game this season in the Premier League, but 104.63 was a high-quality performance from Gary Anderson. And as I said, we knew that Pete Wright was having a few issues with his shoulders. You could see the discomfort throughout the majority of this game, but it's not about caring about your opponent. It's about going out there and absolutely mauling him and getting the 2 points on the board, which is exactly what Gary did. And you can see when you actually look at the stats of the game, 57.14% on checkouts for Gary Anderson. Not usually like him, is it? In the Premier League, he's around about a 35% average for the whole of the tournament on doubles. So that would have certainly boosted it up quite a bit. And a really good performance on doubles, which is not something we've seen often this year from Gary Anderson. Only 30% for Peter Wright. We know he was struggling massively in this game. And look, I think for me, if I'm being honest with you, with that performance, Peter Wright, for me, is out. And he could win every game now to the very end and maybe claw himself into the top four. But for me, he's out. I think the legs difference is what's going to cost him here. And I think he'll be out of the competition. Gary Anderson, I mean, it's one of those where he's going to have a lot of work to do. A lot of things are going to have to go in his favour. And ultimately, I don't think things are going to go in his favour, if I'm being honest with you. So personally, for me, I'm going to say I think Gary has got so much work to do if he wants to get anything in this competition. But ultimately, that will be the confidence booster he needs to go out there and maybe get a few more wins on the board. We'll have to find out overall and see whether that happens or not. But you can see 180s wise, we had 5 180s for Gary Anderson in the game, 3 180s for Peter Wright as well. So yeah, not a great game for Peter Wright tonight. And he will be desperately hoping that whatever issues he's got with his shoulder are gone very quickly. Because if he doesn't, then yeah, he's going to have a few troubles. And yeah, I did beat you to it, Chris. As I said, Gareth, if you didn't spam, you'd still be in the chat. But as I said, we always say it on the stream. I'm saying it one more time. Obviously, we can't show it because of copyright. We apologise about that. But we don't want our channel basically getting booted off. But if you're going to spam it, then you're not welcome in the stream. Because you only need to put it once and I can read it. You don't need to put it 4 times. Or else it's just screaming of desperation for me to see your comment. And then it just gives me the incentivization to not read it. So, yeah, we're not showing it, sadly. But what we are showing is the reaction from my side of the next game coming up, because we have got Michael van Gerwen up against Johnny Clayton for the final game of the night. And apparently, it's 2-1 Roma. They're coming back. They're going to come back into the game and win it. I think they need 5 goals, is it? I think, to get themselves through to the next round. So they need a few more if they want to get back into it. But jokes aside, this next game should be a cracker. It should be a cracker. I mean, MVG Johnny Clayton usually is a good game. Johnny Clayton will probably be a little bit nervous about the fact that MVG has got himself into some form for this match, you know, with 109 average. And, oh, Jake's in the building again. You are printing money, Jake. Clayton match treble for 270. I'm guessing then you went on a D'Souza. No, you can't go on a match treble because Wade D'Souza was a draw. Did you go on a Vandenberg, Anderson, Clayton match treble by any chance? Because I went for a D'Souza, Wright, Clayton treble, and D'Souza was a bottler. Wright, just, I honestly don't know with him. Shoulder issues. And then I went MVG, sorry, not Clayton. I went MVG on my match treble. Mine's dead anyway. So Roma actually only need 3 more goals. Okay, I mean, there's not going to be a great deal of time left, but maybe they could do it. It'd be quite a surprise, wouldn't it, if they came back in that match? I'm pretty sure that would go down as the greatest Europa League comeback of all time. Jay went Anderson and Clayton double. I mean, I tell you what, I went Peter Wright. I don't know why. I just thought Gary Anderson tonight was going to have a shocker, and he's surprised me tonight. Really good performance in the end. But yeah, my bets haven't gone great this week. So it's not just me losing out on the money like you guys on Super 6. It's been me as well. It has been very, very poor indeed. But yeah, I think going back to what I was saying before, the fact that Michael van Gerwen has got that 110 average in his last game, I think will worry Clayton a little bit. But it won't as much because Clayton got 105 average himself in his last match. He's been brilliant in the Premier League so far. And when you actually look at the table, not updated properly, of course, but as it stands, Michael van Gerwen will be in 3rd place after Dimi Vandenberg's win against Nathan Aspinall. He will have an opportunity potentially, if he was to trounce Johnny Clayton and beat him by the 6 legs, then maybe by 7, then he will go to the top of the table. That's not going to happen. I think he will end the night probably in maybe 2nd or 3rd place. We'll have to see. However, Johnny Clayton also has a chance to go ahead of Michael van Gerwen, because if he wins, he goes up to 14 points, MVG on 13, and then it means that MVG will sit in 4th place with Jose D'Souza a point behind him. So it will go from being not close. You know, MVG had a little bit of a opportunity to break away from moving out of the top 4, but tonight, if he was to lose, then that would mean the top 4 race would open up again very slightly, and the likes of D'Souza and Wade will be licking their lips thinking we've got a good chance of maybe trying to squeeze ourselves into the top 4 over the next few nights. And talking about those next few nights, as we said, we've got one more night of action to come before we go into a 2-week break. That is how the Premier League of Darts is looking. We will, of course, be back for the Premier League of Darts on the 24th of May. I will be live pretty much every night apart from Thursday because I'm moving. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stream on that Thursday night. However, on Friday, for the playoffs, I will be back, so don't you worry. There is going to be plenty of content to come from the Premier League of Darts when it does return in a few weeks. So if you have enjoyed it, then please don't forget to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. We will have all of that stuff to come over the next few weeks. And hopefully, it'll be a very good week of action. And we'll have fans as well, which makes it even better, because we'll actually have people in fancy dress chanting the names of every players, and it feels strange because we haven't had that since Peter Wright with the Grinch back in December, which feels a bloody long time ago. But when you actually look at the odds for these players to win, you can see both players in the top 4 to get themselves maybe an opportunity of winning. Michael van Gerwen, after that win last night, up to 15-8 in the odds. His odds slightly slashed after that convincing victory against Dimi Vandenberg yesterday. However, I personally still think that 7-1 for Johnny Clayton to win is still a very good shout. Now, he has to, of course, get that top 4 spot to make it, but I still think he could. I think he's played very, very well in this tournament so far. And I do see him picking up a few more points elsewhere. So 7-1 to me, if you still want to put your money down on one of the players, I would say an outside punt is either Johnny Clayton or Jose de Souza, because both of those players have got good chances. I mean, even James Wade as well at 12-1 is a fairly good shout for the odds. But we will have to see whether or not the Ferret will find himself in a position to be in the top 4, because if he doesn't win tonight, he will still be in there, but only just by a whisker, because Jose de Souza will be right up his backside trying to push him all the way for that final top 4 spot, which, look, there's not that many more nights left. We've got, I think, 5 more nights after this to fight for the top 4 spot, so the pressure is going to be on, and massively on, for these players to go out there and get results. But we're about to get underway with this game in a few moments' time. As always, do put your predictions in the chat. I'd like to see what you guys think for this one. I'm going tonight, Michael van Gerwen. I'm going 8-4. Why? I don't know. It's an outside shot. It's an outside punt, I guess. But I've just got a feeling MVG tonight is going to try and put in a very similar performance. And if he can dictate the game like he did against Dimi van den Bergh, you know, we saw MVG with a very fast pace yesterday, which van den Bergh tried to slow down, and ultimately it didn't work for him. If if MVG can dictate the pace of the match, I think it will go into his favour. However, Johnny Clayton is a pretty quick thrower himself, so whether or not Clayton gets kind of whether he gets dragged into the match and the pace of the game, then maybe that could influence the match as well. But Johnny Clayton is the only player, I believe, in the Premier League to be averaging over 100 for the tournament. He averages 101.52, MVG averaging 98.04 for the tournament, with 15 more 180s for the Ferret, and quite surprised at that when you think about it. But as we said before, MVG not really smashing in as many 180s as you would expect him to. But as we said before, MVG could potentially move to the top of the table if he wins the game by 5 legs. But if he doesn't win it by 5 legs and wins it anyway, then he will go back to the top, to second place anyway. As Neek, of course, MVG fan, I can tell. FC Groningen fan as well. Love Iron Robin. Hopefully he gets to play for you guys soon. He's predicting MVG 8, Clayton 6. Chris Welch, you're predicting 7-7. Daz predicting 8-2 as well. So without further ado, the last game of the night. We're probably going to be done for about 10 o'clock, which isn't too bad. Gives me a chance to get everything ready for tomorrow. As we get underway with a high quality affair between the Ferret and the Green Machine. Well, will the Green Machine come out on top? Or will the Ferret make MVG bite the dust and really make the top 4 race very interesting? That is the question. So MVG has been beaten in every occasion by Johnny Clayton this year. So he knows that this is the one player that he needs to stop the rot against and beat him and get himself back on the board again. I mean, it's obviously understandable. Chris saying 2-2, no comeback now. I mean, at least that game's been an enjoyable one in terms of goals. Another game with lots of goals in it. If you're watching Villarreal Arsenal, I feel sorry for you. Because if you are watching it, has it been a good game? I'd assume not. Because there's been no goals. And my guess would probably be Villarreal are probably sat back defending for their lives. So it'd be Unai Emery against Solskjaer. Should be interesting. So MVG down to 36 here. Johnny Clayton back at 179, so he's going to have at least 3 darts in hand, and the Green Machine might be able to put himself into a 1-0 lead to start this game. So double 18 required. A double 18 he shall get, right into the top right-hand corner of the double 18 bed. Very nice there from MVG. And he's hopefully going to pick up where he left off from the last match and get himself an all-important victory on the board. And importantly, get his form going again, because I think that's been the one problem. You know, we saw him play Rob Cross and get 107 average, and then the night afterwards play Peter Wright and play Stinker. We've seen him play good games, but then ultimately he just doesn't go on and get the consistency, and that's what he needs, because he's been missing for quite a while. But Chris saying, yeah, sat back defending, don't blame Villarreal for doing it. And that's what Spanish teams do. They're good at defending. And Villarreal, they've got the good counter-attacking flair as well, you know. They've got Gerard Moreno and Chukwueze. So, on the counter-attack, they can hit you. But, ultimately, I think Arsenal, if they do go out here, it's probably going to be World War III. And Arteta is going to be under some immense pressure, isn't he? I think there'll be a lot of fans on AFTV tonight saying that Arteta needs to walk out the door. That makes for some exciting viewing tonight for any football fans. Chance here, though, for a 1-6-7 finish, which Johnny Clayton doesn't get. So a chance here for a 1-3-8 for Michael van Gerwen, which he's not going to be able to take out. So an opportunity now for 25 for Johnny Clayton. 2 darts to 8 to level the game up. Oh, Chukwueze went off injured apparently, as Clayton does make it 1-1. That's a shame. That's a shame. Good player as well, Chukwueze. Well, Clayton's back to 1-1. Checked out on 8. And this should be a very good start. Both players playing very well indeed. MVG averaging 115. Johnny Clayton averaging 105 as we continue where MVG left off last night in that game against Dimmy van den Bergh. And he came out yesterday in his post-match interview, Michael van Gerwen, and said that the defeats at the Super Series, in where he didn't make the quarterfinals, have actually been the matches that have spurred him on to try and get that consistency back. And he's obviously got to make sure that he continues that on in fine style and gets himself a few more solid victories on the board. But so far, in these first few legs, this is classic MVG. But there's a long way to go. Let's not get too excited yet. And as I said, thanks to all of you for joining. If you are new, don't forget to leave a like and a subscription. There's 23 likes. Can we get that up to 30? There's 58 of you, which means a hell of a lot of you haven't left a like yet. Let's see if we can get it up to 30 by the end of the night. So Johnny Clayton at 2-4-6. Van Gerwen gets himself down to 1-6-7. And he needs to really get himself the leg on the board here. And this could be a good opportunity to check out the 1-6-7. Can he do it? The answer is no, he's not going to be able to. Doesn't hit treble 20 with his first dart, which is a real shame for him. And therefore it means Clayton with a chance now at 1-4-6. Gets 19 to start, so there'll be no chance either for Johnny Clayton to check out. And MVG again now with a chance at another ton plus finish at 108. Gets 20 to start, which means he's going to go treble 16 for tops, which he just can't get. And a chance now for Johnny Clayton to return for 2 darts at double 16. Can the Ferret get it? Oh, yes, he can. 2-1. And Johnny Clayton takes the lead in this game. And you can see the reaction from MVG there. I don't know exactly what words he's been saying, but he's muttering something to himself. And he'll be thinking in his head, we're going to be in quite a fight here. And it will be some disappointment from MVG, no doubt, that he has eventually gone on and found himself in a losing position for now. But it is early days, very early stages, isn't it, of this match. But he's got to get himself going. Momentum has been key for MVG in the last 2 matches, with both players averaging over 100. MVG averaging 102, Johnny Clayton averaging 102 as well, so an even game in terms of the averages. No 180s yet though, I think, which is quite interesting. Wonder if we'll get one of those soon. So Johnny Clayton at 3-1-6. Michael van Gerwen at 2-6-9. Just going through a little blip here, you feel that, MVG. And you can see with the table that if Clayton can get a few legs on the board, then he can get himself back into the shout of getting towards the top end of the table. As Chris says, MVG will be happy Whitlock isn't in the league. Oh, he bloody will be. Or else that'd be 2 games minimum. Sorry, 4 games minimum he'd take defeats in. You know what it's like when he plays Whitlock. Has an awful record against him. I don't know what it is, but Whitlock seems to get in his head. And I don't know how he does it, but it's impressive. So treble 18, double 20 needed here for Johnny Clayton. Goes for 18, which means he's going to have no darts to check out. And Van Gerwen will be coming back here at 1-1-7. Needs treble 17. Goes treble 19 for tops. And he gets it. And that's a 1-1-7 finish for Van Gerwen. And there's the roar that we've heard so many times this year in Milton Keynes. And a big roar it is indeed as Michael van Gerwen makes it 2 apiece in this game. And all Johnny Clayton's got to do is keep himself focused, because we know that he can get you rifled up in these matches. And Johnny Clayton has just got to keep calm, keep composed, and just keep playing the darts that he is right now, because he's playing very, very well indeed. And you can see with the stats, both players playing better against the throw than with it. Well, they're saying that Michael van Gerwen against the throw is averaging 106.89, so you can tell that right now he's finding it a lot better without the throw. As he's down to 240 here, MVG. Johnny Clayton at 405. Whitlock can beat anyone. Well, that's the thing with Whitlock. I really want to see him at the the World Match Play. Is he down for it, the World Match Play, Whitlock? Because I don't think he is. And that'll be so painful if Whitlock isn't going to it. I might be wrong and he is, but I think Demon Hetter's down. But I can't remember seeing Whitlock's name on the list. I want to see him there. I want to see him there because I love Whitlock. Great player on his day. And I said, I'd have loved to have seen Adrian Lewis there, but I mean, Lewis isn't on good form, so it wouldn't have been a great watch anyway, would it really? But I'm very excited to see who's there for it. Chance though here for a 64 checkout for MVG. 1 dot at tops, which he doesn't get. And a chance now for Johnny Clayton to check out 112. And I tell you something, if he checks this out, there is probably going to be a big reaction from Johnny Clayton. He gets 20 to start, so he's got 1 dot at treble 20, which he doesn't get. And he won't be able to check out, so MVG is now coming back with 3 darts at double 10 for a 3-2 lead. It's 10. And needs to hit double 5, and he hits 5, and that is a bad mistake now, because Johnny Clayton could capitalise on double 10 and take a 3-2 lead, which he hits 10 to start. And then does the same as MVG and hits 5. So now a chance for MVG to go 3-2 up in this game. He's going to have 2 darts at double 2. Which he does hit. And it's 3-2. And there's a raw for checking out double 2. And it doesn't matter what the checkout is. There's a little smile on Johnny's face. He's probably thinking, please stop screaming and shouting, MVG. But he's back in the lead. And there is big emotions on the line in this game, as you would expect. As the top 4 race begins to get tighter and tighter, and the pressure begins to build on these players as they look to seal the spots before the likes of Jose de Souza and James Wade can sneak themselves in. And he was so good, wasn't he, last night, MVG? He's trying to match that performance, maybe even go one better with the way he's playing. So Chris needs to qualify. He's currently 19th in the World Top 16. Automatically qualifies. Yeah, he automatically qualifies the top 16, doesn't he? Get himself in the top 16, Whitlock. I really want to see him there. I know Brendan Dolan's there as well. I think he's going to be one to watch, Brendan Dolan, in that tournament. I think arguably, for me, one of the best players of 2021 so far. Played absolutely incredibly well, hasn't he, Dolan? Changed up his throwing technique to be a little bit quicker, and it's working very, very well. So I'm really intrigued to see if Brendan Dolan gets in there and goes, which I think he's on the list right now to go, which is very exciting indeed. But we need Whitlock to qualify. We want him there. Chance though for a 1-2-4 checkout here for Johnny Clayton, which he's not going to get. So MVG's coming back for a chance to take a 2-leg lead on 87. Treble 17, double 18 needed for a break of throw. Gets the treble 17. And gets the double 18, and there is the break of throw for MVG. And there's a reaction again from the Green Machine, because he now knows that he's got a bit of a foothold in this game. And a very important foothold it is indeed. And fair play, because MVG really could now start to push away. Apparently Aubameyang's just hit the post. Oh no, is it Olympiacos again? Oh dear. I mean, if they concede, then they're still through. No, if Arsenal score, they're through, aren't they? It was 1-1 in the last game. No, I don't think they would be through. I think it'd be extra time, wouldn't it? I'm pretty sure. Because Arsenal scored an away goal, Villarreal... No, it'd be Arsenal in the lead, wouldn't it? Because Arsenal scored an away goal and Villarreal didn't. So yeah, Arsenal, I think, would still go through. Villarreal have just got to basically sit there and hold the lead, which you can't blame them whatsoever for doing that. I think if I was Villarreal, I would do the same. You know, sit back and hold the lead and ultimately just see the game out, which you can't blame them for doing that at all. But I've just lost my chat for a second. Chris saying, I think Whitlock will qualify anyway, surely. Yeah, I think he will. I think he will. I want him to. Nothing's better than hearing Down Under, Men at Work, for the walk-on. One of the best walk-on songs. And one of the only people that could get away with it as well. See, this is Australian. Perfect song to pick, isn't it? So MVG at 187 here. Both players' averages down to 94. It's just slightly starting to simmer out in terms of being an exciting game. But there is a chance here for Johnny Clayton to maybe get a leg back on the board. If he could check out the 114. Needs treble 20. Which he doesn't get. And MVG will have a chance to check out 128. And apparently Aubameyang's just come off. Lacazette comes on. How long's left of that match, Chris? I'd assume there's probably about 5 minutes left. Maybe a little less than 5 minutes. I mean, I would put the last 5 minutes on to see what goes on, but Johnny Clayton makes it 4-3. And that free leg on the spin for Michael van Gerwen comes to an end. Johnny Clayton now with a leg on the board. And, well, it's not the greatest game in the world. But is this the opportunity now for Johnny Clayton to get himself back into the match? Apparently there's 10 minutes to go of the game. Must have been quite a bit of additional time then. I would put the last few minutes on just to see, but I'm pretty sure, isn't it? If Arsenal score, then they're through anyway because they scored the away goal and Villarreal didn't. It would need to be Villarreal which scored first and then Arsenal scored to take it to extra time. So, had you said that at the beginning of the game, I would have gone, yeah, there's a chance of that. But with 10 minutes left now, I think that game is pretty much done and dusted. It's pretty much, if Arsenal score, they're through. If Villarreal don't score, then they're through, because I can't see them scoring a goal, to be honest with you. They'd need something special, at the very least. But this is this is a slog of a game. And to say we've had a very good night of matches, this is ruining the atmosphere. No, I was saying that Peter Wright had a stinker earlier, didn't he? As these averages start to dwindle. We were around about the 105 mark earlier, wasn't we? With both of these players. Now they're around about 94 for both of them. And neither really firing in this game, which is really disappointing for us. It's not the amazing occasion, as both players averaging 92 now in this game. Villarreal 1-2, one in first legs. If Arsenal score, they go for an away goals. Yeah, I thought they did. Yeah. Yeah, because Villarreal were at home, so if Arsenal score, they win. If Villarreal win, then it doesn't matter, does it really? Because they'll be 3-1 up. It would need to be Villarreal that scored first, Arsenal scored 2 to take it to extra time. But that's not going to happen. There's a chance here for MVG to check out the 1-3-5 on the ball. And he's nowhere near. And that sums it up. And a chance now for Johnny Clayton to check out 1-2-8. He starts off with an 18, which means he's going to need treble 20 for the ball. What a big moment this would be. Gets 20, which means no checkout. Oh, kind of sums up the game. It's making me yawn. So chance now for Van Gerwen. He's got 2 darts to double 16 to make it 5-3. And he doesn't take it. And now a chance for Johnny Clayton to make it 4-4 on double 18. And what a big moment in the game this could be if he could take it out. Which he does. And he's 4-4. And apparently Roma have just made it 3-2 as well. What a tie that's been. That's been an absolutely incredible tie. Fair play. Fair play. Really, really good tie. How many goals in that? What? It ended 6-2, 8 goals in that, and then 5 tonight. 13 goals in 2 games is nutty. So, quality game between Roma and Man U. Not a great tie, is it, between Arsenal and Villarreal? Quite the opposite, isn't it? You've got a game full of goals in one hand, and then a game with not really much going on in it in the other. But we're not getting fireworks in this game, and we're not getting a lively one at all, as MVG constantly shakes his head. And we said earlier, I said it at the beginning of the night, somebody said in the chat, I think it was Stephen, who came in and said, is MVG finally back? And I said no, because he just hasn't had his consistency. But right now, with the way he's playing here, No consistency whatsoever from MVG. But neither is there any consistency from Clayton, who's struggling massively in this game as well. And maybe there's a little bit too much respect on the table. As there's a chance here maybe for the first 180 of the game. And there we go. There's a 180. Bet you didn't think we were going to hear that sound tonight. Finally got the first one on the board in this game. And MVG's down to 32. Clayton down to 110. And a chance here for MVG with 2 darts at double 8 to take a 5-4 lead, which he doesn't take. And now a chance for Clayton at 110 to maybe just get himself in the lead again, which he won't be able to. And MVG now coming back to take the lead again in this game and make it 5-4 with 3 darts at double 4. And as you said, Chris, it's just so inconsistent from him. He's not played well enough, and that's my problem. He just hasn't got himself going enough. For me, to say that MVG's back in form, he needs to play multiple games back to back to back to back to back. You know, even 2 games with a good performance. I wouldn't be sat here tonight after this game saying he's back. I would expect him to go on a good run of consistent games, winning, not comfortably, doesn't have to be comfortably, but with good averages and good checkouts for me to sit here and say that MVG's back in form. And he's not. And I think, as I said yesterday, when the crowds are back, yes, I do think we'll see MVG get back to a little bit of form. But right now, the crowd aren't there, and he's got to go and get results, and he's not. And that's the problem. He's running the risk here, maybe, of Clayton getting back into this and making it 5-5. And there's big pressure on him, because let's not forget, if he does win this game, he will not be able to go to the top of the table now tonight, but he will go into second place. As Chris says, I don't think Emery's failed to reach Europa League final on top of my head. No, I don't think he has. I'm just thinking he never was in the Europa League with PSG. He made it 3 times with Sevilla. Made it with Arsenal. He loves that competition, doesn't he, Emery? Absolutely loves it. So a chance here now for MVG. Break of throw. If he could check out 87. Treble 17, double 18 needed. Gets a treble 2. Treble 19 is not there. Which means Clayton will be coming back at 116. And what an opportunity this could be if he could check it out and make it 5-all. Starts off with a 20, so there'll be no check out here as he hits treble 1. And that sums up the performance tonight for Johnny Clayton. So 2 darts here, a double 16 for a 2-leg lead like he had earlier. And he gets it. He goes for tops instead, plays it safe, and a 2-leg lead is with MVG now. And that will just calm the nerves of the green machine, who's not really been a machine tonight. It's been a bit of a faulty performance from him. But he's 1 leg away now from a guaranteed point on the board. And more importantly, 2 legs away from a guaranteed 2 points, which would send him to second place in the Premier League if he was to get something in these last few legs. We will have to see whether he does or not. But it's just not happening, is it, for Johnny Clayton tonight? He's averaging 90. MVG only averaging 92 as well. But even then, it's not what we expect from these 2 players. And it's a very dogged performance. And again, for MVG, it'll be one of those games where he'll come out of it and say, I didn't play well, but I got the result. And that's all that matters. But it's not vintage. As MVG gets himself down to 170. Johnny Clayton back at 316. And there's a good opportunity here, maybe, to have our first 170 finish of the Premier League this season. Can he do it? The answer is no, we won't get it. Which means we are still waiting for the first 170 check out of the tournament. But he is down to 36 with Johnny Clayton back at 216. So an opportunity here to make it 7-4 on the night. And claim himself an all-important point in the race for the top 4. And a point it will be for MVG. And Johnny Clayton will now have to win the next 3 legs back to back to back, or else he will be coming out of this game with 0 points. And the ferret will open the door for the likes of Souza, Souza and James Wade to just maybe get themselves back into the race for the top 4 spot. We'll have to see. But a chance here for MVG to maybe get the 180, which he does. An important 180 that will be, as it puts him in the driving seat for this potential last leg of the match. Can he maybe get something here? I mean, a 9 darter to win it would be incredible, especially with the standard of this game. But we're not going to be getting the 9 darter, sadly. And MVG will get himself down to 238 after 6 starts. With Johnny Clayton back at 320, he's going to have to at least get 100 here minimum. Which he goes one better and gets a 140. So Clayton at 180. Van Gerwen at 238. Really needs a few trebles here, MVG. And doesn't. Only gets 44. And Johnny Clayton now, with a real opportunity in this game, if he can get a few trebles, to get himself a checkout, which he doesn't. And it's only 60 for Clayton, so he's down to 120. But he's going to have at least 3 darts, depending on what MVG does here. So MVG at 130. Clayton at 120. You just feel here, maybe Johnny Clayton might need to take this out. He's going to have 1 dart at tops for a 120 finish, which is what he doesn't get. And a chance now for MVG to seal the deal on 130. 2 treble 20s, which he's not going to get. And it means that Johnny Clayton will be coming back with 3 darts at double 10 to make it 7-5. Apparently he's seen an added time now. How much added time is left, Chris? Because if there's like a few minutes left, I'll quickly switch it on and I'll look at the chat on my laptop. If there's like 5 minutes, I'll check it on. If it's like 2, then there's no point because Villarreal will probably go through anyway. I think they've shut up shop and got the result they needed. And I can't wait for AFTV tonight. Whey! If you're a big football fan, I think we'll all be waiting for AFTV as Johnny Clayton gets a 140 to start this 13th leg of the match. 5 added minutes. Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. Nothing's going to change in the next 5 minutes. I think that game's pretty much done and dusted if we're being honest here. As Johnny Clayton gets a 140. He's down to 221. MVG at 264. We've needed a good leg for a little while and it's turned into one. Another 140 for MVG. He's down to 124. Clayton at 221. Going to need to get a few trebles on the board. Which he gets 100. And a chance here to seal the deal for MVG on a 124 finish. Gets treble 20. Treble 14. He's going for the bull. And the bull he shall get for a 124 finish. And Michael van Gerwen. It wasn't a classic. It will not be a memorable game. But what it will be is 2 vital points on the board for the Green Machine as he continues on a potential chance to finish top of the league in this season's Premier League. And the Ferret, who just was not able to really get himself going in the game either, will not want to remember this game, but it wasn't a vintage performance. And in the end, Michael van Gerwen comes out with an 8-5 victory. And a very, very important victory is indeed for MVG as he looks to continue his dominance towards the top end of the table. And fair play to him. It's a good result for him at the end of the day. And when you actually look at the game, again, I think probably very reminiscent of the Nathan Aspinall match yesterday. It's just one of those games where ultimately you look at it and you think, he will not remember this game, MVG. He will not care about it. But the 1-2-4 finish at the end there was fantastic for him. 2 180s in the match for MVG. The 1-2-4 checkout at the very end with a 40% checkout success. And only a 95 average. It's not vintage MVG at all. It wasn't vintage Johnny Clayton either. And realistically, that will be one of those games that is pretty much swept under the rug and very quickly forgotten about. But he's broken the duct. And he's finally done it. He's finally beaten Johnny Clayton. And the duct has been broken, which is fantastic for him. Because, of course, all season and all year, Johnny Clayton has beaten him so far, which is massive in terms of that result for him. And he does move into second place. 1 leg behind Nathan Aspinall, who did lose tonight. And that race for the top 4 is very exciting because Jose de Souza moves into the top 4. Johnny Clayton is in 5th with James Wade just 1 point behind Jose de Souza in 4th place. How exciting is that? It makes for a very intriguing final night of action. As just having a look right now, Audio Murphy put, Johnny did not like getting slapped in the head by MVG. Who would? MVG apologised, it looked like. Yeah, I didn't even notice that, I'm going to be honest with you. Didn't even realise he slapped him on the back of the head there. But yeah, when you've just lost a game like that, you don't really want to be having situations like that, do you? But overall, tonight's results, Aspinall losing 6-8 8-6 to Van den Bergh in that match. Brilliant result for the Belgian in that game. Quality performance from both players. James Wade in a hard-fought 7-7 draw against Jose de Souza. What a performance it was from the machine to get himself back into that match. And then Gary Anderson with an 8-3 victory. It was vintage Gary who got himself an all-important 2 points on the board. He desperately needed that considering the way his Premier League campaign has been. We've got one more night of Premier League action to come. That's tomorrow from 7:05. The question is, what games end the Premier League for this section of matches? And I will answer your question. It all starts off tomorrow with Peter Wright up against Jose de Souza. And, well, if Jose de Souza beats Peter Wright, then I think Peter Wright's out of the race anyway, but that will definitely boot Peter Wright out of the race for the top 4. Can Jose de Souza just cement that top 4 position? We'll have to find out indeed. Match 2 sees Michael van Gerwen up against James Wade. MVG looking to continue his dominance in the Premier League so far. Can he get something against the machine, who will be certainly confident after his result against, I forgot who we played a second ago. Jose de Souza, of course, tonight. It's going to be an interesting game, that one. Match number 3 sees Johnny Clayton up against Nathan Aspinall. Both players in that match obviously losing. Very disappointing for both of those. Who will bounce back in that match? We will have to find out. That is match number 3. And then the final game of the night. What a cracker this is going to be to end off your evening of Premier League of Darts action. It's going to be Van den Bergh against Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson with a big win tonight. A major confidence booster. Can Van den Bergh continue his run of form? Or will Gary Anderson get an all-important second back-to-back victory on the board? We'll have to find out indeed. Don't forget, we've got more streams coming up over the next few days on the Sports Corner channel. Lots of content to come. As you can see, of course, we've just had the Europa League action tonight. Villarreal and Manchester United is the final. Very excited for that. We'll be covering that live on the channel at the end of the month. You can join me tomorrow, of course. Premier League of Darts, night 12. We'll be live from 7:05 for the final night before we have a 2-week break, which is a real shame indeed. I'll be back on Saturday morning. Up the Millers. We're going to win as we face Cardiff in the Championship relegation battle. Going to be very exciting. And then straight after that, you can join Rowan at 2:25 as Dortmund take on Leipzig in the Bundesliga. And then after Rowan's stream, it's Bayern Munich taking on Gladbach. What a game that's going to be. And what a Saturday we have for you on the Sports Corner. There is going to be lots of drama to come up the bloody Millers. We're staying up. Fingers crossed. Let's hope. But as for now, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you tonight for being in the stream. It has been a very, very great night. A hell of a lot of you. Very consistent amount of viewers. And it's greatly appreciated for all of you that have taken your time out to choose here to watch the stream. Because you could sit and watch another streamer, but you chose to stay in here, and I really, really do appreciate it. So thank you to all of you. Gareth Bale, heart on me. As for now, though, don't forget, as always, to leave a like and a subscription on the channel. If you do want to take part in our Super 6, there were no winners tonight, sadly, but there will be a £25 prize on the line again. All you've got to do is predict the scores for tomorrow's 4 games, as well as how many 180s in a session, and the highest checkout of the night. If you do put those on, you might be able to win yourself 25 quid. You can also check out our social media links as well. Our social media, our Twitter is at @the_top corner, and our Instagram is _sports corner _. Do go and check those out if you want to see, of course, when we do go live on our YouTube. You can also check out our website as well, which is sports-corner.com. There is a lot of content to come in terms of NFL and wrestling, so I would highly recommend checking that out if you're a big wrestling or NFL fan. And there is one more thing as well. Daz, and I know it's just put in the chat, when's the A-League? There's no A-League tomorrow. Rowan is having his COVID vaccine, so he's not going to be available, sadly. So we won't be having an A-League stream tomorrow. I think we'll have an A-League stream again at some point soon. Might be a special midweek game to make up for the Friday one, but there will not be an A-League stream tomorrow. Instead, Rowan will do the Spanish Grand Prix F1 as well on the weekend, so do stick about for that. But as for now, I will be back tomorrow night, 7:05. Do join us nice and early. We've got some very good games to come. But as for now, have a fantastic morning, evening or afternoon, wherever you are, and we hope to see you again on the Sports Corner. See you later. Good night.